Can you hear me? Looks today on
Doomed!
Oh no, Taylor Lorenz has once again done journalism, ladies and gentlemen. On the show today, I will be talking with Taylor Lorenz herself about the Libs of TikTok Twitter account that's been going viral for months, basically spreading anti-LGBT rhetoric, attacking teachers, getting them fired, and even attacking young LGBT kids themselves. Let's go right to the show. Let's pull Taylor up on the feed. And here we go. Joining me now, she is a reporter with the Washington Post, Taylor Lorenz. Taylor, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's an honor. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Oh no, thank you. I'm pumped because I reached out to you. It was a slow week, and I was like, yeah, maybe we could find something to talk about today, right?
Yes.
You published in the Washington Post a piece that looks at the person, the previously anonymous individual behind the Libs of TikTok account. Can you tell me a little bit about how you came about writing this piece and finding out who was behind this account?
Yeah. Well, so my whole job is I cover online culture, tech culture, internet culture, whatever you want to call it. And that entails writing a lot about influencers online. I would argue, Libs of TikTok is one of the biggest ones that's emerged. It got on my radar last summer because Joe Rogan had shouted it out a couple times in August. He shouted it out again in September, and so it started to pop off. And I started to kind of watch its influence grow in the right-wing media ecosystem. Like bigger and bigger people were tweeting it. All of these lawmakers started paying attention to it. And then in January, earlier this year, it really leaned hard into this like groomer discourse online. So it was on my radar. I really started looking to it in earnest last month when the owner of the account basically did this whole right-wing media tour. They went on Tucker, went on, gave this tell-all interview to the New York Post and others, but always anonymously. And I had also heard that the account got had gotten funding. So I was just kind of interested in it. Like, I think as we look at these big influencers online, it's really important to understand who's behind them. I mean, we for all we knew, it could have been like a foreign actor, right? So I started to look into it, and then worked with a researcher. There was people, journalism never happens in a vacuum. It's not like I was the only person paying attention to it. So others had been looking into it. There was rumors of it being this woman online. And this fantastic researcher had also kind of started to look into it too. So I relied on some stuff from him, and then just kind of also did some old school reporting. His name is Travis Brown. And he had done a big catalog of the account, of like the account's history. But it wasn't that hard to find her. I mean, she registered her website under her full name. So.
Right. I mean, the interesting thing is, the researcher you spoke about, he basically, because people don't maybe not realize this, but your Twitter account, while you can change the handle, it is actually attached to a non-changeable set of numbers, like a unique ID that Twitter gives to your account. And with this unique ID, this researcher was basically able to like go back through the Internet archives and connect all the old like usernames that they used.
It happened yeah, so it's a little bit it was a little bit one more step removed. It's not like anybody could have gone to the Internet Archive and done this. It's actually a project that he's been working on, which is archiving huge data sets of tweets. So I think they've archived like 1% of all tweets on the platform ever. And within that data set, he was able to find, yeah, the account because it had cycled through many usernames. This is how Lil Nas X, remember his Nicki Minaj Stan account was exposed from the same way. He had
Oh,
just
really? That was okay.
changed his Nicki Minaj Stan account to Lil Nas X, but that unique ID is always the same. So if you're gonna start a new, parody account, definitely maybe make a new handle. I don't know, but
Or maybe not, actually.
not. I mean, especially if you're doxing trans people.
Right. Right. So, I want to point out that the most important thing you did is the most old school, normal type of journalism. And that's what got the right wing completely upset with you. Can you go a little bit into what horrible act of reporting you did, Taylor?
Yeah, well, I know. I mean, the right-wing media is not very familiar with journalistic tactics, I think. Which I did is I was really interested in finding out if this is the woman. Haya Rychak is actually a relatively common name. There's another Instagram influencer with this name. There's multiple people with this name. So I had her phone number. I had called her. She hung up on me after I identified myself as a journalist. I had sort of done everything. I knew it was her, but I wasn't 100% sure. And I think, I wanted to confirm. I looked up her address. It was in Los Angeles. I live in Los Angeles. And so I thought, well, I'll go over and knock on her door. And that's exactly what I did. And, that was considered hugely invasive. I think it's very funny. I was a political reporter and covered the campaign trail in 2016, and we would knock on doors all day to try and interview people for different things. So yeah, I knocked on the door and asked if I could interview the woman who answered. She said no, she lied to me, and then she declined to identify herself. But I was pretty sure I was at the right house because I saw a bunch of sort of information in that brief interaction that led me to kind of know that I was pretty sure it was her. It actually wasn't until, even actually the night before, it wasn't until Glenn Greenwald tweeted that it was definitely her house that I visited. That was like the final confirmation that it was her. But because I was like, we go to the right house, and then he tweeted that, and I was like, well, there's not a doubt in my mind anymore. So
It's so amazing. It's because people have to understand, this stuff was out there, and I don't say this to belittle what you did, because what you did is the main
thread.
Yeah, it's the main piece that brings it all together. But this info was all out there. It was just very sloppy on the Libs of TikTok account runner's part, and it was all there. I had seen it in the days and maybe even a week or two before, but I couldn't connect it to confirm. You did the legwork, got on the ground, knocked on the door, and then without you doing that, you never get Glenn Greenwald tweeting the confirmation. It is the integral that you knocked on this person's door for this report.
Yeah. And door knocking is a journalistic tactic. I mean, you'll do anything to really find things out. And it was so important to me to confirm this, to make sure I had the right person, right? Because other, as you mentioned, this information, this name had come out online over the weekend, and I knew my story was going up this week, and I just watched other people with that name getting rude comments and harassed and targeted. Unfortunately, that's still happening since my story went up, but people are just dumb and they can't understand that multiple people have the same name. But it's been, and I just wanted to, make sure it was all good. So.
Right. It's important for people to understand too that after your report came out too, then the Libs of TikTok account, what's her name again? Haya
Raychik. And then she tweeted a photo of me at her door, which was 10 times more identifying than anything we said in the story. I was actually shocked that she posted that. As somebody that thinks so much about my own digital security, I was like, oh my God, her whole street is out there. What is she doing? But
right. I saw that happen. First of all, I saw the Greenwald thing that minutes after he tweeted it. And my first thought was, go to the Libs of TikTok account, check out to see if they shared that, because where is he getting this information from? Because I also want to point out that he was the first person to tweet that you had visited her house before you published anything, which not only means he confirmed it for you, but it means that Glenn Greenwald has a direct line to the person who runs this account, or a direct line to someone who directly knows this person and got that information secondhand from them. Either way, Glenn Greenwald is connected to this account that does the most demeaning, horrible harassment to literally, they do it to like the thing that they do with teachers usually gets a lot of the attention, but you go back to find some of the deleted tweets. This Libs of TikTok account was attacking literal LGBTQ teenagers, like underage teens, going after them, stealing their videos from TikTok, posting it here, sending all their followers to hate on the person. These are young kids that this person who cares so much about children and groomers and grooming attacking these young kids.
Yeah, it's shocking. And Glenn has called himself the godfather of this account that brags about getting gay people fired. It's really disturbing. I'm really disturbed just by the level of homophobia that's been normalized online. It's really terrifying, and specifically the anti-trans stuff too. I personally would never want to associate myself with any type of account that was doxing and harassing and destroying the livelihood of trans or LGBT people, especially not youth. So it was shocking to see these big right-wing figures, but also not shocking at all. I mean, and this account had spewed a lot of stuff outside of it, the anti-LGBT stuff. I mean, this account, the owner claims to have stormed the Capitol on January 6th and was, declared herself an insurrectionist. And had also spread election fraud conspiracies for months. So, that is the type of account that these big right-wing influencers want to align themselves with.
Right,
So.
and not just claim to be there, literally posted video evidence that they were there. I mean,
live tweeted it, saying they were on the ground. So
right. I was speaking with some people in like LGBTQ media, and they were telling me how they knew that there was a lot of work still to be done on trans issues. Like, obviously you could just see like we're not there yet. But what's been so shocking to them and Libs of TikTok is really, for people who don't understand how influential this account is, like they literally lead the charge. You have Ron DeSantis's press secretary going on a multi-tweet tirade after your report came out, because if you look through her history, there's many times where she was citing the Libs of TikTok account for the information that the governor of Florida's office is sending out there. Like, this is an account that, and also Libs of TikTok account, I was looking through some of their tweets talking about a direct line to the Texas AG office. I came across a few Facebook posts from like conservative parents, like activist parents in like North Carolina, who were literally like declaring like victory whenever Libs of TikTok would run something that they would send to them. Like, this is an account that literally runs the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric that flows through the GOP now. And one of the things people in media were telling me was like, this is like, the trans stuff we knew we had work to do, but we're now like going in reverse on even like the most basic, like gay and like lesbian human rights stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's been really terrifying to watch just things slip back. I mean, as a millennial, like I remember when Obama came into office, and I remember when, gay marriage passed and all these things, and it really felt like we were making progress. But I think what we've seen is the right has really successfully been able to weaponize trans people to kind of dismantle gay rights as a whole. Trans people are the most marginalized people. They're the most misunderstood sort of group. And I think that, they've sort of like, weaponized that faction to kind of dismantle all of this progress that we've made. And so much of it is driven by this account that it was just shocking.
Right. And I want to bring up the main talking point you see from the right to distract from what this account does. They claim that the account literally just pulls video from TikTok, uploads it without comment, and lets the words speak for the words of the individual they're outing speak for itself. But that's not true. And the most obvious one to me that proves this is not true is a deleted tweet from their account that I actually remember seeing it when it was originally tweeted out in November. And then just today, one of my followers reminded me, hey, you remember when they said this about the Trevor Project? Let me pull up this tweet. So, Libs of TikTok quote tweeted a tweet from the Trevor Project, which was basically just promoting their LGBTQ suicide prevention hotline. Literally just a mode for kids to call up and just get information to know where they can get real life help if they are really feeling like down and depressed and at that point, or just to hear from someone that like you're valid. Like they don't do much. It's literally, you can call into one of these hotlines to test out what they tell you yourself. It's very important work, but like there's only so much they could do. And they called just that little bit of help for the LGBTQ community. They called it Trevor Project is a grooming organization.
It's shocking. It's disgusting, but it's also completely in line with everything this account posts. This is an account that has also said queer people are evil and should be driven from schools, and anybody that comes out as gay should not be allowed to teach children. It's not just reposting TikToks. I mean, look, there's tons of like liberal cringe accounts, and those are different, right? Like those are not what these are. This person is framing specific things. There's tons of stuff that have nothing to do with social, like they're not sharing anything. They're just sharing their own opinion on something, or they're sharing a news clip, or they're sharing some article, right? That's misleading. So it's not that. And the framing that they're putting in, the way that they're decontextualizing a lot of this stuff, they're stripping it of all nuance, and they're just looking for that like triggering soundbite or short video that can then get, shoveled onto Fox News.
Right. And one of the things you were attacked for, by the right, among the many, was the fact that they considered this to be doxing because you basically had posted her name, which was then able to be connected to, various parts of her life. I mean, you had to confirm these things. That's another thing, not to go off on a tangent here, but back to why you visited their home. There seems to be this bizarre understanding on the right that you went to the home because you had because you even see it. Like, how would you like it if I posted your home address? Well, guess what?
Which they've done.
Right.
All day to me,
right.
And all my family members.
Right. Yeah. But like, you didn't go to the address with the intent of posting it. That information was never published online by you whatsoever. You went to the address just to confirm you had the right name.
Exactly. And make sure that I made every good faith opportunity to allow her to talk. Say she couldn't talk, say I called her and that wasn't her phone number, right? Like, I just wanted, you gotta confirm, you gotta make sure and follow through on that extra step. And we absolutely did not include any personal info or anything like that in the story. So, and also there's a level of intent too. I mean, when these right-wing people have been doxing me, once again, the intent is harm. I mean, people on forums yesterday were talking about coming to my home and shooting me. I've had people, physically that I've had to worry about sort of in the real world. I've knocked on her door very politely, identified myself as a journalist. I kind of actually, the way that the woman who answered the door was holding the phone, I kind of thought that I might be being recorded. So I was like extra polite, and I would always be anyway. But yeah, it's just like the intent is not to go there and like harm anyone. It's just to be like, hey, by the way, I'm a journalist. Just wanted to like cross my T's, dot my I's, make sure that I gave you a chance to comment.
Right. And, if you wanted to ask me or Taylor a question, anyone on the right, our contacts, how to reach. I'll be happy to tell you whatever you need. The reason Taylor had to go to their home was because they wouldn't confirm the information that Taylor needed for her report. It's that simple. Yeah. I mean, they don't understand, or they willingly don't understand. I mean, they do, but they're just pretending that they don't. So exactly. That the base, runs with the idea that, you're trying to do something that you're not. And the funny thing is, they accused you of doxing her, when just looking past the idea that, look at when Libs of TikTok, and there's screenshots going out there of Ron DeSantis's own press secretary asking the Libs of TikTok account, hey, what county does this teacher work in? And the Libs of TikTok account doxes where she works, gives her the information publicly right there on Twitter.
I mean, they've done so many things like that. I mean, that's what really frustrates me about it, all this conversation about doxing. Let's talk about the trans and LGBT people and teachers. Many of them that make, they're working these really intense jobs in the middle of a pandemic for, $40,000 a year. They don't have the resources to defend themselves or move or do anything, right? And they're being targeted by this account, which is 100% way more doxing and identifying than anything, that we would do in our reporting, which was fine. So, but that word is just lost all meaning. I mean, it's just weaponized basically by the worst people on the internet.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's their new thing. To just along with doxing, their new thing is to basically redefine all these very basic words. Their favorite one right now is groomer. Everyone's a groomer. Everyone's a pedophile. But that's what they do. And the funny thing is, once again, and by funny I mean horrendous and horrible, is that once again they strip all meaning of these words to the point where when there is actual grooming and pedophilia going on, will people believe it? Will it mean anything? Will calling somebody a pedophile or a groomer when they're actually sexually abusing children, will it mean anything anymore? Honestly, it looks like it's not. When even Mickey Mouse is a groomer, I mean, I don't know what else that's what they're doing.
100%. Yeah, it's 100%.
So let's talk a little bit about TikTok in general, because I've noticed that this account grabs so much from TikTok, and TikTok seems to have become this like fire, like this new like focus, like this fire, it ignites like a firestorm on either on the right especially, because it seems like it has become sort of a safe space for like young LGBTQ teens. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a large, maybe Tumblr comes close, but the fact that TikTok is all video content, it just feels like maybe the community is more tight knit than like the anonymous, like, photos and text that was shared on Tumblr.
Yeah, 100%. I think TikTok elicits this like bond between people because you're watching someone's face. They're often posting from their home. It just feels more intimate than Tumblr. And Tumblr is I spent so much time on Tumblr. TikTok is extremely similar to Tumblr. I think it's like kind of Tumblr and YouTube combined. And it's been this, I mean, look, TikTok's like any social platform. It has good and bad. And I've covered the bad extensively. But it is this place where young people can go to kind of express themselves and talk about culture and get support and reach people, right? It's an outlet for them. And so to have an account like this crawling those safe spaces for young people, taking their content out of context and weaponizing it is just really, really toxic. And many of these accounts that they put on blast have like no followers. Like they're just really random, niche, average people. So
Right. Do you think it's a little bit weird to me that TikTok, and I'm not, when I say weird, I mean I'm surprised that a big, large organization like this would just let this go for so long. The Libs of TikTok account, it seems like they're turning this now, or have been actually working on doing this for quite a while, turning this into like a real business, like a brand, an actual official brand, not just like a throwaway like social media handle. Libs of TikTok has been registered as a trademark by the Babylon Bee company. The CEO, you had mentioned this a little bit earlier when you wrote more about it on Twitter. The CEO claims that he's paying her now to run Libs of TikTok. You have a former, he's like a lawyer, someone who was once part of the George W. Bush administration, is like the legal counsel for the official brand name or whatever. What's TikTok thinking here? Not at the very least, let's talk like business talk here. Not defending their trademark. It seems a bit weird. They're just letting this fly.
I think they will. I was speaking to people internally at TikTok this morning, just questioning them because I know that their legal team has been made aware of it. And I think it's something that they're looking into. I think what's really hard is that it's super politicized, right? Like this account is very politicized and TikTok is very politicized. We saw Trump and a lot of the right-wing people wanted to ban TikTok. They're very anti-TikTok. They're very pro, other things. So I think it'll be interesting to see that. I could also picture a world where I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens if they defend the brand or not. I would imagine, a brand like Apple would, no question, right? Or Facebook, but TikTok's in this precarious position where I think if they were to attack this account that's become the darling of the right-wing media, it would definitely cause a political firestorm. So we'll see.
It also seems though like a really easy, simple way to apolitically save a major part of their user base from harassment. I mean,
I
just
mean,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah. So do you think this is what I think? I think because there's people who brought up the idea that oh, you gave them more attention, they received like 100,000 more followers over the past day or two. I mean,
Yeah.
this account was gonna get those followers anyway. It doesn't matter how whether it happened in a day or in a week. But what I've noticed is that over the past couple of days haven't really been doing their usual shtick, have they?
The
Go
thing,
ahead.
this is the thing I want to say because I think about those things a lot. I mean, I think about I cover a lot of bad people on the internet, and you do worry about platforming them or giving you don't want to like give them the clout. At this point, like the woman had already been on Tucker, and they were growing. Like the followers were going to come anyway. I truly believe that, but the scrutiny was not always going to be there. And I think as this account grows, I mean, you saw the tweets that they deleted today. They deleted over 1,000 tweets. I don't know if this is true. Somebody told me almost 5,000 total. And I do believe it. They've been tweeting very differently. I don't know. There's more scrutiny on them now, I think.
Right, and also without that, protection of an anonymity, they open themselves up to possible legal issues. I mean, now they have to be really careful about what they say, who they go after, how they go after them. Just like how you and me have to be careful and take great precaution to make sure that the actual person behind an account, if we're writing some about an anonymous account like you did, is the actual person. We take great care to make sure that we're not doing any harm. This person didn't really have to worry about that when they were hiding behind an anonymous account.
Exactly. There's the scrutiny there. Yeah, which I think is really important. We need that. We need more scrutiny on stuff like that. You shouldn't be able to be bragging about getting, dozens of teachers fired without knowing who that is. Like I said, I mean, I just bring it back to the fact that this could have been a foreign actor. This could have been someone. It's really important to know who these people are that are driving these huge, important political conversations, no matter who it is. If it was a 12-year-old, that'd be relevant. We want to know like what's happening and why and what is this person's motivation.
All right. So has this absolutely, first of all, I mean, I think it tells a lot about who's behind this, just to understand where they're coming from and why they're doing it. Um, and knowing that they're a big Trump supporter, I mean, you would think it's obvious, but to have that confirmation, it does drive home the point, right? I mean, it does really tell you where this is coming from. It's not just some like random troll who's just doing it for the lulz, like people
Yeah,
will claim. They have an actual political agenda behind what they're doing.
exactly. Yeah.
Do you would you say that this you've written a lot of pieces that have rightly angered the right people? Would you say this one's the one that brought the most, or has there been worse actually?
Oh God, I don't know. I was thinking like, that meme that's like, oh shit, here we go again, or whatever. I feel like that was some of my stories. I'm like, okay, let's dox me again. Sure, guys. Like you guys have doxed me 100 times. This is definitely like one of the bigger ones for sure. I did write, I've written a few other ones that have gotten a lot of attention, and I covered online extremism. I mean, I covered right-wing extremism for all of 2017 as my primary beat. And after Charlottesville, I definitely got a lot too. But this one hit a nerve especially. And I think the difference too is when I was getting this stuff in 2017, the mechanisms weren't there. Like it was slower. Like Tucker wasn't hopping on things right away. Like there weren't these like this like tried and true path. And now it's just become this like machine that just once you're caught in it, like Jesse Waters is going to be about you. This is going to be like it's just you just check check check. You know what's going to happen. And it's all going to happen within 48 hours. So that's what's been interesting to me. Like this time, as opposed to like around this time last year when I got doxxed and harassed, like I'm better prepared for it, but also like they're better prepared to like do these types of things. So that's kind of scary.
Right. Tim Pool earlier today tweeted, and I wanted to get to something else he said. And the Tucker thing from last night. I know we just have a few more minutes, so I'll get to it quickly.
Sure.
Tim Pool had brought up that you are the one who started the doxing firestorm. He said he noticed all of a sudden more people were like posting the private home addresses and information of people online ever since you, as if the right never doxed anyone before. It all started yesterday.
Do you not remember Gamergate? Did we not live through Gamergate? Like, hello, what is the hell is he talking about? I mean, he just says whatever two brain cells, in his brain sort of like come up with. I don't know what he's talking about, but no, I mean, the conversation around doxing has been around for quite a long time. Especially, I mean, even just from forums, right? Like you mentioned Tumblr earlier. One thing that people on 4chan used to do is find these like people on Tumblr to target, right? And harass marginalized people there and dox them. I remember Gamergate. This is a thing. It's actually become more relevant recently because of crypto, which is a lot based on anonymity. Katie Notopoulos, revealed the owners of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and a lot of people that opened up a lot of conversation about doxing. So yeah, this is not like I didn't like teach everyone a new word this week at all.
Right, and it's the crypto thing, and I do a crypto show, and it was really interesting to me to see. Every time it's still interesting, even though I should be used to it by now. The overlap in the crypto people and the right wingers, people who identify as crypto as their main form of identity online, and people who identify as right wingers as their main identity online, just come together to defend really people being able to do whatever they want under the guise of a mask and not knowing who they are, whether it be running a multi-billion-dollar funded corporation or harassing people, getting people fired, going after kids. Both things a-okay. I believe there's like a right to be anonymous, which there isn't. I mean, you pull it off, good for you, but if someone finds out who you are, you have no right to remain anonymous.
I think it's about power, right? And it's about who gets to influence things and who gets to be anonymous, right? Like these trans people are not getting the opportunity to be anonymous. They're getting put on blast and they're getting shoved on Fox News and all of that. Yet these giant accounts are supposed, like, I mean, if you have a certain amount of political power and influence and monetary power and media power, like it's not doxing to know who you are. You know what I mean? Doxing is really a specific thing where it's like you're posting like phone numbers and really like stuff that's good, like people can use to really like drive harassment. But that second part, like the point is to drive harassment. This type of stuff, it's like we're just telling people like this person's name and like a little bit about them so that they can better contextualize who it is that's doing all of this stuff.
Right. And I went through this piece numerous times to see like all the different claims that these people. What was that?
I said it's very long, so thank you for doing that.
No, because on top of reading it and wanting to understand what you were, what you found out and how you confirmed all this, I also, you have, a lot of my tweets on the subject got lots of attention. So you have right wingers also making claims about your piece to me that I'm like going back and seeing, I don't think you're right, and I'm looking, and there is no personal information whatsoever that would be constituted as doxing. Some people will consider a name doxing. I think if you have a very powerful account that is able to literally move policy, move politicians to do something, move the news, with what you tweet, then you are a person that's fair game for a name. A name.
100%.
Yeah.
100% is all we gave. And that she lives in LA.
Right.
That's literally all we said.
Right. And, Tim Pool made a video calling me a liar. Because
he's lying about I just saw what he was like, you post her home address. It's like, that just didn't happen. It just didn't happen.
There is no home address there.
Yeah, and you can't argue with those things because when you argue with these bad faith made up attacks, I mean, I've just noticed this myself personally, you almost make it a matter of debate. And it's like, look, the work stands itself. Go ahead and read the story and see if anything you think is there. I mean, I think that the goal of all of those people is to just, they don't want journalism to exist. They're very anti-journalism. And I think that's bad overall. Right. Journalism has flaws, but yeah.
And before you go, I do have to ask you this, though. How is the funding from Germany, by the way? Is it good funding? Did you get...
I'm German. I'm a half German. And although I actually don't know if I've even revealed that online, but yeah.
For people who don't know, why don't you tell them where that comes from?
So last night, and I haven't seen it, I was actually out with friends last night when all this Tucker stuff was happening, and I was like trying to watch my phone. I think Tucker was saying, because Travis Brown, who's one of the researchers who helped archive a lot of her old content, was like or like he works for this like nonprofit that got funding, but it kind of didn't. He like lives in Germany maybe, and there was some like German connection, and so Tucker was like, oh, it's a deep state operation, and you know, Taylor's funded by the German government. I didn't really understand his logic because it was like true galaxy brain shit. I was like, also the Internet Archive is American. We know that, right? Like, you know that the Internet Archive is like based in San Francisco. Like, you can go there. Yeah, but no, there's no conspiracy. I cover influencers, and this is a huge influencer. That's why no one like planted the story. I literally was like, I've been looking into this for weeks. There's actually me 2 weeks ago. People don't believe me. Go listen to the Daily Beast podcast that I went on, where I talked about the fact that I was reporting this story. I was like, I'm working on this story. I want to find out stuff about this woman, because I'm always very open with what I'm working on. Like, because I want to make sure that I'm included. Like, I want to hear from people, basically. So I was like, yeah, I'm looking into this account. And I did look at this account, and I did publish it out. So it's like, guys.
Oh, so what you're saying, Taylor, is that the German government's been funding you for your entire career.
I mean, Germany's amazing. I have relatives from there.
So, one last thing to put a cap on this, and then I'll let you go. What do you think is the next the next thing that's going to happen here? Do you think they're just going to get back to tweeting more carefully? They're going to do like a Babylon Bee account, like funded, like a branded account. What do you think their next move is, based on what you were able to uncover, and how that moves them to change up how they do what they do?
They seem to be very focused on collecting emails. So they had an account with Review, which is Twitter's newsletter platform. Now they've launched on Substack. That's notable because in the political world, emails are incredibly valuable. That's basically a big email list you can sell to different campaigns. For instance, you know that your audience is susceptible to these things. Right. So I think that's a very notable thing that they're doing. So, we'll see. The owner has also talked about how she wants everyone to run for school boards and have this political influence. I don't think it's going to go away. I think the content might hopefully be under more scrutiny. And it'll be interesting to see. They've already violated Twitter guidelines multiple times. I could see a world where they violate it again and eventually get shut down. We don't know. But they're definitely not going away. I mean, this account it was always growing in prominence. It's not like my story blew it up. I mean, Joe Rogan has 20, millions and millions more listeners or audience than I have. And he's been like hyping this account many times. Like, it's not like I'm, the one that introduced it to the world.
Have you thought about launching the Taylor Lorenz experience?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if people want to be part of that. I do have my meme account. I have Taylor Lorenz 3.0. It's like I just post like funny photos. That's the most influencer-y thing I'll probably ever do.
Right, and you also have probably the most active journalist TikTok account I've ever seen. It's the only.
Oh my God, I know.
We're really dropping the ball on there. I don't even really we're really dropping the ball. Journalists really missing out on the TikTok experience.
I'm on everything. The only thing I haven't done is YouTube. But actually yesterday and today have been so crazy, and I've been dealing with so much stuff. I haven't made a TikTok about this whole story yet. So that's on my list for today or tomorrow.
Oh, there we go. I look forward to seeing it. Taylor, where can people find you online, and can you tell us what you're working on next? Can you give us a hint or anything like that?
Yeah. You can find me literally anywhere. I'm Taylor Lorenz on like every platform. I'm gonna write. I want to write a story on cringe. I think that's gonna be my next story. I think like cringe is having a comeback, and I don't know. I'm gonna write about cringe accounts. So
for a second, I thought you were telling me about a brand new app called Cringe. I was like, oh shit, I gotta.
No, I like balance. I like to do. I mean, I love news, but I like also to do these like weird conceptual stories. And after I do a big news story, I always try and do like a couple kind of chiller, more conceptual ones where, hopefully people won't try and dox me over my thoughts about cringe content, but you never know.
There's nothing I love more than covering the right-wing grift, especially when it's like cringy like this Libs of TikTok account is. So Taylor, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the stream and talking with me and telling me all about it today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's much more show. In fact, I'm going to open the phone lines. You'll be able to call in to the show. You can open up Skype, and I will give you the Skype number, which is just Doomed Live. Search Doomed Live, and you'll be able to call into the account. I'll open up the call-in Skype account in just 1 second. But before we do that, let's just thank the patrons really quick for joining, for supporting, I should say, for joining the Patreon and supporting the show. Without you patrons, none of what I do is possible. We got Charles Z, Sharky X Miss, Nathan G, Carlos, RM, and Andrew S. Thank you so much for supporting the show and becoming patrons since the last episode. That's patreon.com/MattBinder to support this show. Keep the content flowing, folks. Also, if you have a Amazon Prime account, I multi-stream on Twitch. I'm on Twitch right now while I'm on YouTube, twitch.tv/MattBinder. If you have an Amazon Prime account, attach it to your Twitch account, and you get a free Twitch Prime subscription to give to your favorite Twitch streamer every month. Maybe that's me. I hope it's me. Just, again, twitch.tv/MattBinder. Subscribe via your Twitch Prime, and it's basically like extracting money out of Jeff Bezos' pocket and inserting it into my wallet. You become Robin Hood. And I want to thank some of the people who've done that over the past week. Speculum Flight with a resubscription. They've been a Prime subscriber for 4 months. Proto Addict, D. Berghardt, Nanomag, Rebel Without a Cause. They've been subscribed for 5 months in a row. Niles TV, Dom 3L. Thank you all so much. And Amused Mob, love the show, Amused Mob says, thank you so much. Really appreciate your support. Doomedcast.com for the podcast version of the show. Scameconomy.com to check out the crypto show I also do. There'll be a new episode tomorrow where I've compiled a bunch of amazing phone calls from listeners who called me to tell me about their dating app crypto scams that have targeted them. Really interesting stuff. Check that out. It'll go up tomorrow night, scameconomy.com, and I'll be doing a live stream after the episode 2 to take your crypto-related calls to hear all about your crypto scams and other crypto-related topics. But today, phone lines are open to talk about whatever you want. Politics, usually. Right-wing media. The Libs of TikTok account. Ethics in journalism, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it. Also drop a super chat. YouTube.com/MattBinder. I will read your super chats. Give me just 1 second and stay right there. If you're listening to the Freebie podcast, this is where I say goodbye to you. If you're watching live or you are a patron, stay right there. Give me literally like a minute to open up the phone lines, and then I'll be right back to take your comments, calls, and more. See you in just a moment, and everybody else, see you all next time on Doomed. We are back. Welcome to the Doomed second half, where I will take your calls, open up Skype, type in Doomed Live. I'll be happy to talk with you. Whether you are a left-winger, a right-winger, somewhere in between. And we got our first caller calling in right now.
Doomed Live, I'll be happy.
Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey Matt, it's Rem from Baltimore. How you doing? Can you hear
Hey,
me fine?
you sound great. Hey, Rem from Baltimore. What would you like to talk about?
Well, great show by the way. Taylor Lorenz is awesome. Um, I've been waiting for someone to knock Libs of TikTok down a peg. It's about time. They've been uh, they've been pretty vile for the past several months.
Yeah, it's been amazing to watch basically all of their political enemies being labeled a groomer or a pedophile, regardless. Like, that's just how that's just who they are. Like, they're not like, oh, that's even, they don't even call it, like, it would even mean they'd have more integrity if they were just like, this person is my enemy. I
Hmm.
disagree with this person on everything. But no, they want to smear them as like this. Grooming is a crime. Pedophilia is a crime. So they're basically accusing people of things that just to smear them. That's what it is. Just a smear.
For, for sure, you're right. You're right. And I've seen several videos a while back of the Libs from TikTok stuff. A lot of it, and even one of them was just like a queer person just being happy. They weren't really saying anything incriminating or weird. And I understand a lot of libs out there say some weird, cringy things, but that doesn't automatically make them pedophiles, of course. That's just their weaponizing thing of choice. It's just very frustrating. But I feel like the right wing, they don't really understand what the word groomer actually means. I, I felt like it's
Oh,
some sort of
I've
like,
talked about this before. They've literally redefined the word. They've literally
yeah,
redefined it to mean what it's not. Let me see if I
yeah,
could find the old the like the image meme that they've been spreading around, because it's
really,
bullshit.
okay.
It's not like their meaning is not what it is.
Yeah,
This is
for sure,
like a
100%.
image. Here it is. I found it. Oh, and look who tweeted it out. Good old conceptual James Lindsay, Mr. Go on Dr. Phil and make a fool of yourself himself.
Oh my
Here's
God.
their redefinition of it. Um, Grooming, the deliberate act of bringing a child into a sexual, political, or racial ideology, practice, cult, or lifestyle without the knowledge or consent of his or her parents for the aim of isolating them from their family so the external party can abuse and manipulate them. Wrong! That is absolutely not what grooming is. It's not.
No, not at all. Not at all. I read in a great article by Talia Levine, and I don't know if anyone's read her book, Culture Warlords. You should definitely check it out, and then check out her recent Substack article about grooming and child brides. And it's just wild how the far right wing conservatives, Republicans, they don't seem to care about actual grooming and child molesting and pedophilia and sexualizing children, especially heterosexual cisgender folk. They love to sexualize kids all the time, and no one cares. No one bats an eye. It's very frustrating. It's just it's so gross.
Oh, absolutely,
And
absolutely. It's just this is just their way of smearing people, and it's easy though because they really don't have anything. They don't have anything. They literally just
no,
hate LGBTQ people. They
no,
again the
no.
Trevor Project thing. I'll bring up the tweet again. The Trevor Project tweet to really because I actually think that is the you want people to there's going to be like faux centrists and moderates who are like who follow the right wing, like who believe the right wing propaganda. This account just posts liberals' own words, but I mean, you show them this tweet, and it just goes out the window. Who would say this about literally an organization that just is there for LGBTQ suicidal LGBTQ youth to call and just to
Mhm.
be told that hey, this is information where you can get some help offline, real world help, like local places you can go for help,
For sure,
and just
for
let
sure.
them know
I
that
have.
yeah, and just let them know that you're a valid person and you matter. Have you just said you have you called into any of these this Trevor Project or any similar
Something similar. I
Would
called
you
a
mind
warm line.
would you mind sharing your experience, if you don't mind, just so people understand just how crucial these these hotlines
Yeah.
are? Go ahead, please. And again, don't say
Um,
anything you don't feel comfortable sharing.
for sure, for sure. No worries, no worries. I just I called a warm line a couple weeks ago. I was just having a rough couple months, having some breakdowns and mental breakdowns, and just everything's overwhelming. Sure, politics have been overwhelming. They always are. It always is. Even when I was like more stable before COVID hit. Um, but yeah, I called this warm line that I forgot who I asked and who told me about this. Some sort of um, therapist people that were kind of like guiding me to some helpful places. As I told them, I called a trans helpline a while back, and they were not helpful. I was really in a bad mood. I was very angry, self-destructive. I wanted to be mean, but I realized like, I'm not gonna do that. I get really mean when I'm in a bad mood, and then, but I wasn't in a bad mood when I called the warm line, and they were very helpful. They really listened to me, and they were really nice. Uh, but yeah, I felt a little better, but
Right. Would you say just
yeah.
like, having that line to call and for them to listen to you, like they don't really like maybe they did, but it seems like what people get more out of it is just being able to share their own thoughts and feelings with an
Hmm.
understanding voice, not so much what like they hear on the other line. It's just what they say, are able to say just to an understanding person on the other line helps more than anything.
Yeah, they were talkative, they were responsive, they
Right.
were just like so helpful as a fellow trans person, and the other person, I don't know what their problem was. Maybe that was new. I was their first time caller or something, or it was very awkward. And I like chatting, I like talking, I like discussing, debating, arguing. I love that stuff. But the other person was just so quiet. There's a lot of dead air. It was very irritating. I'd say something and I'm really upset and I'm really wanting someone to talk to, and they were just quiet. But then, just recently I called the warm line, and they were just bright and colorful and happy and supportive and listening to me and let me rant about politics or anything. And I always say, I'm sorry, I keep ranting, but they're like, no, it's fine, it's fine. And just be yourself. I'm like, oh, no worries, I can do that.
Right. I mean, thank you for sharing your experience, and for people. I mean, again, I don't think anyone on the right's gonna care, but I do think their talking points do hit people who are not very political, and they see what the right
Hmm.
says, and
Hmm.
they, "Oh, who would lie to me about this? Save the
Yeah,
children, take care of the children." And I do think
that's
those
their
people,
mantra.
I do think those people are reachable, the ones who don't, who are apolitical and don't quite, get what's going on. So they're
Yeah.
maybe few and far in between, but they do exist. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah,
And
and one last thing, if I may,
go ahead.
I want to let all the trans folk out there, if there's very little listening or if there's more listening later on, um, there is more of us than there are of them. Most of Americans support us.
Oh yeah, that's the thing I want people to understand here. It feels like we're going in reverse. I said that earlier on, even like I think I think you're as I think you can agree that we had a lot of work to do
Mhm.
on trans issues in society, but it did seem like a lot of this basic like you know gay and lesbian like bigotry, again, not fully, but a lot of it was behind us, and it seems to all of a sudden be rearing its ugly head again. Would you agree on that assessment?
Mhm. Of course, there are definitely attacking trans people for a while now, and then it was, it's very annoying. But then, out of nowhere, they decided to attack gay people, and of course, the gay people on the right don't seem to be too concerned, especially Dave Rubin, who has not adopted, there, he's getting some children, and it's just,
Oh, they think he's a groomer
it's
because
it's gonna be,
he's a gay man with kids. They think he's a groomer,
uh,
100%.
oh yeah,
They've
yeah,
said it before.
oh
Yeah.
oh for sure,
But I
oh,
bring
for
it up
sure,
to
but
basically make this point that the reason it's feeling that way, and it is happening, like they are getting louder and angrier and they're reversing course is because they know they're losing. I mean, that's it. That's simple. They're losing. And we are
I hope
hearing
so.
the loudest among them lash out because they realize this. It's silly that they're losing because they're not losing anything. Like, they don't have to literally be involved with this at all. Like, if you're not gay and you don't like gay people, then go about your cis life, just not
Hmm.
interacting with gay people. You could try if you'd like. I mean, do it if you can.
Well,
Just
yeah,
don't
yeah, for sure.
bother other people and how they choose to live their lives or how they were born and are living their life. Like, just leave people be. Let people be happy being who they are. You don't want to call someone by their pronoun of choice, then you know what? Don't talk to them or call them anything at all. Just leave them be. Get away. Get out of their life. Seriously. I mean, that's what I
100%.
think.
Yeah, I agree.
And unfortunately, it
Republicans just,
doesn't work for everybody. Obviously, I want to add this one thing to make sure I cover it all. Obviously, the
oh
people
yeah.
who are going to be most hard hit are those same LGBTQ teens who and kids who this Libs of TikTok account attacks on a regular basis, who are
Hmm.
stuck living with families, parents, relatives who may not be so supportive, who not only may not be supportive, but may actively work against them and abuse them. Because this account throws around grooming and child abuse all the time. Most LGBTQ children, most children in general, but let's focus on LGBTQ children. Most LGBTQ children are abused by family members, parents, or guardians. That's where the
Indeed.
majority of that abuse comes from.
You're right. You're 100% right, Matt. I see it all the time. I see some really heartbreaking posts online, like on Reddit or whatever. It's that some kids just don't know what to do, and they're very aware of politics, of their state's laws. They don't want to. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They don't know where to turn to, and they don't know who to trust, and that's understandable too. I feel the same way sometimes. I have a hard time trusting certain people, but I also want people to understand and realize that Republicans, a lot of them don't believe what they're saying. They just want to rile up their base, and a lot of other people don't really care about queer folk all that much, but they believe, some of them, well, a big chunk of them believe every word is true, and it's quite disgusting. I'm very much over it.
Right. No, I completely understand that,
But anyway,
and
thank you
but
for
no,
letting me
but
talk,
no,
Matt.
but know that people are on your side. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, they're upset because they see which way the wind is blowing, and
Mhm.
you can't stop. I feel like I'm about to jump into a Hairspray song. Uh, that, you know what I'm talking about. Oh my God,
For sure,
I'm
for
gonna
sure,
do
for
it.
sure.
You can't stop the motion. Okay, let's leave it there. I'm about to do it though.
Oh yeah,
Have a great night.
yeah. I'll let you go. I'll let you go. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right. Ooh, apparently there's some right wingers in the chat that my regulars are trying to tell us them to call in. Call in. Everyone who listens to me knows that I am a very cordial, uh, interested in talking with everyone. I've had debates with Michael Tracy, with the Convo Couch people. Tim Pool has invited me to his show once again, and I am ready to do it. Just got to work out the scheduling details. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey Matt, it's Olaf from Brooklyn.
Hey, Olaf. What would you like to talk about, my friend? I see you're once again walking around the streets of Brooklyn. Be careful. This is an
Oh,
episode where a major point of this episode is that everything you post online can reveal something about you, and it's true. You don't know what people could take from where you're walking around
definitely.
right now.
I already have most of my stuff online. I just think
Would you like me to pull you
sticking
up
to
on
the
the stream, by
topic,
the way?
yeah, I probably have most of my stuff online. People could probably dox me already. It's just the fact that I doubt you're gonna come to my neighborhood. I doubt you're that brave to come to I'll literally say that I live at Brownsville. Look that up, Brownsville, Brooklyn. Look that up, and you'll consider twice about coming around there. But anyway,
I like that. I like that, man. That's good.
Yeah. But anyway, like the whole like these people are so brave when they have like anonymity on their side, and then once it's like, oh 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 my god, you can't be revealing myself. It's like, hey, you do the same thing. You can't be calling people pussies, white knights, and all this other stuff if you are afraid for the same thing. Just keep it a buck. You just can't be doing that stuff. And like I just want to get at like one thing that the constant relabeling of stuff. This has been happening in like within like seeing like other like YouTubers and whatnot. People have been loosely using the word grooming for a while. Like, hey, maybe you might have gone with a girl that's like you were like say that you were 17 and then another girl was like 15. You might have gone out and you might have talked with them, and then like when you age up a bit, they reveal all that history and go like, oh wait, you were talking to this person. It's like, but then like they mismatch the timelines and whatnot. I'm not gonna get into that stuff necessarily because I feel like, hey, yeah, this is a problem. But then like at the same time, it's like they were 17, they were 15 at that time. So like that's a whole different story. And but they're reusing the word grooming when it was like, no, it was just someone that was older talking to this person. It wasn't right, not necessarily. Was it grooming? No. And then conservatives are trying to use that same thing that people online have been doing for a while and like twisting and turning and putting everything into knots. And I want to remind everyone about, I don't know the exact like name of stuff, like, but remember the phrase of like this very famous person. You can't go around saying the word N-word, N-word, N-word all the time. You gotta, this time, like, you gotta change up how it is. You can't be doing that. Maybe you gotta use the word forced busing, all this other stuff. If people remember those lines, that is from Lee Atwater. I'm not properly phrasing it, but he was a conservative, I think, what do you call one of them? Campaign managers or something like that. And
Right.
basically, I think it was for Nixon, not Reagan, because I probably confused it a lot. The fact is that they're always going to be flipping and changing words to fit their narrative. Please stay up on it and please reuse that quote every time and show people that they are doing this every single time. It is basically immortal words that like conservatives have taken and ran with. You see how they twisted Dr. MLK's like words and like they only take one chunk out of a whole entire speech.
Right.
Like and then like they just forget everything that he says. Be present and past. Like they just forget everything. They want to suit everything to their needs. So people, please keep reminding yourself. Lee Atwater has literally wrote the game plan for conservatives to use for
Right.
years, and they've
Yes.
been doing it. I want people just to like read like find that quote, put it up online. I'm not like a big person that goes online much. I don't have a Twitter account. I have nothing much. But like if you could like just do that, just hey, this is what they've been doing. This is what they've been doing. This is what they've been doing. Do that. I wanted to keep it really short for today.
No,
So
you
if you want,
spitting the truth and knowledge right here, my friend. Thank you so much for calling in. I mean, it is always astounding that you hear these people who are like, no teaching about slavery and what white people in this country did to black people throughout the history, civil rights era. That's all CRT, but also love and respect all those Dr. Martin Luther King quotes, but only the ones obviously that are "I had a dream," "Don't see color," "Everyone treated equal." None of the other stuff. None of the other stuff he said. Have a great night, my friend. Enjoy your night out in beautiful Brooklyn.
all right, yeah, I'm about to go home and spatchcock a turkey and like somehow make it and fry it up. So,
Take care.
all right, bye.
Bye. Why hasn't any of these conservatives in the stream called in? You could literally like if you're afraid of giving me your account, I don't know why. Just start make a new Skype account. Just make a new Skype account. Call it 12345 6. I believe they even make you start a whole new email address at Outlook or whatever, so it wouldn't even be connected to your name. or current information, just call in if you guys can. You guys like to talk online, where you can't necessarily go back and forth with someone, and you could just pretend not to hear things. Just call in. I'm telling you, I'm giving you a voice right here. You get to talk to a couple hundred people right here.
Hello there, Matt.
Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Grimlock from Cybertron.
Hey, Grimlock from Cybertron. What would you like to talk about, my friend?
I'm torn between a number of things. Some of them I should save for the scam economy.
Let's save the crypto, unless the crypto stuff has to do with right-wing politics. Let's save the scam economy stuff for Thursday if you're going to be around on Thursday.
I mean, it could, but I'm not going to do it. So here's our two options. One, I play a little game where you try to guess which left media figure did something really fucking stupid and pissed me off.
Is it Glenn Greenwald or Matt Taibbi?
No.
Is it I'm trying to think who else to throw out there. I wouldn't really consider him a left winger, but is it Max Blumenthal? Jimmy Dore?
No, it's Ben Burgess.
Oh, that's the wild card there, because he's someone who I wouldn't put in the same category as those four. Absolutely not. But he does have some bizarre takes.
I was gonna try to
bizarre.
Play this
let me rephrase that. Bizarre. I want to save bizarre for something that fits more better, more offbeat.
I've tried to draw attention to the fact that he's done dog whistles about pronouns, for example. And this last week, he was going to bat for some lady who managed wait staff at some restaurant, but also apparently liked to go on Facebook to directly harass trans kids and say that they don't exist. And so Ben said, "Oh, it's so fucking bad. This lady lost her fucking job. Oh, boo-hoo."
Wait, who lost their job?
This lady who was managing some wait staff, but also was apparently tweeting about how she goes on Facebook to terrorize trans children.
Now, did they, to me, it's I don't care, but it's extra fair game when they're just literally tweeting it or posting it from their actual identity account, which if they're posting it on Facebook, they are.
Yeah, they're posting that shit with their own face on Twitter.
Yeah, I see this all the time on Facebook, especially with older people. They're saying the most horrible shit with their name, their relatives listed on the side, pictures of their grandkids, their place of work listed right there. And listen, to me, kids, family members, completely off limits. You want to call a family member or visit a home just to get confirmation of who someone is, like how Taylor did. That's fair game. But in terms of taking ripping pictures of family members and stuff like that and posting them, no, that's wrong. But no one's done that. No one's done that. I'm just basically spitballing in terms of how people add their account.
I told you before that my ex-girlfriend and her best friend and 200 plus other people who were arrested at Trump's inauguration were all immediately doxxed while they were still in jail overnight. Their information was immediately released to the Daily Caller, the Gateway Pundit, their names, phone number, all kinds of information. So that's what a real doxing looks like. It's not just, we found what your name is.
Listen, what Taylor did is literally the most basic, people who are anonymous, who have power, influence, get mainstream media attention, are doing interviews with major outlets. They do not have no one has a right to be anonymous, but they do not get to just do that and pretend that no one can look and find out who they are. If they successfully pull it off, if they're able to not be outed and their information remains anonymous, then good for them. They've pulled it off, but there is no right to that whatsoever. It's just not, there isn't. There is no right to your name not be attached to the things that you say. if you leave all the breadcrumbs there, especially.
But let's really like take a step back though. Like we're not just talking about anyone being on the internet. Like if her opinions were like really spicy takes about fucking Pokemon cards, no one would give a shit. Unless those spicy takes were also basically bigoted and she was somehow whatever, a media influencer who also was a bigot. The point is that she is a bigot and uses her platform to derive basically her own little micro pogroms against people. Their own little harassment campaigns, and that's sort of like the sort of bigger thing about all this cancel culture bullshit is about this question about how your reputation should determine what you're afforded in society. And yes, maybe we should actually reconsider that people should still have a place to stay, whatever, the roof over their head, food on the table, just because they're people. And we should actually have a totally different way of thinking about how we care for one another. But while that world doesn't fucking exist, if you lead campaigns of hate against other people, yeah, your life should get fucked. And fucked in a hurry. And if you think hiding behind anonymity is going to work, obviously that has not always been the case.
I mean, you don't even need to. You don't need, I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're saying, obviously, but you don't even need to we could even make it even more bipartisan or because people are gonna hear that and go, oh, how biased. I mean, that's bullshit anyway. But we could do that though, because if you do something, there are consequences to your actions. That's the most basic thing in life, period.
I actually hear that it's like a law of physics, that for every action there are reactions, that things will happen in total voids. So yeah, there's always this duplicity of I should be allowed to say whatever. That's again why I'm very much not a free speech absolutist. And I think that is actually one of the most privileged positions to hold, because it's usually people who can afford to take some hits.
Well, also free speech absolutists when it comes to internet speech, which is all free speech absolutists are about now, because that's what they view as the the new public square. They never talk about offline speech because no one's stopping that. They're able to go out on the street and say whatever the hell they want. But
I mean, we talk about offline.
Also,
they talk about how we want a world where actually you should maybe not assume. Just don't assume someone's pronouns. Just use they, them until you know. It's actually really simple. But then they have a hissy fit.
I don't even think it needs to even be that. That's obviously the very nice and respectful thing to do. But you don't even need to. If you call someone by the wrong pronoun and they ask you to use a different pronoun, just respect them.
Yeah.
Basic respect. You want to assume that someone who you view as being identifying as the male gender and call them he, him, or whatever, and you do that, and they tell you, hey, please, can you call me by this? You just go, oh, okay, I'm sorry. If you don't even want to apologize, I bet they won't even care if you won't apologize. Just respect them enough to use the pronoun that they ask you to use. It's basic human courtesy. If you called someone by the wrong name, and they said, my name isn't Bob, it's actually Julius, you wouldn't be yeah, okay, Bob. No, you would say, oh, I'm sorry. All right, Julius. I mean,
yeah, but of course,
ridiculous.
I think the real thing is that it's really an argument in bad faith, because what they'd really like to just call people they don't like is slurs.
Yes. And
that's the world they want back.
Yeah.
They don't even want, and again,
I mean, no one's stopping them from doing it. There's no Joe Biden helicopter police that rappels down and tells people to stop saying it or they're going to be arrested. They're free to say this. What they really are protesting against is that there are consequences to saying it. That's what really upsets them. That's what makes them really angry. That their job, which they hate, their shitty little job they have, actually cares, maybe because cares about other employees who may be LGBTQ or whatever. they're upset they can't just freely say shit without getting fired or reprimanded or something happened to them. So then they take it out on everybody else.
Yeah, well, and so even when it's maybe not even that they've lost or their ability to be more hateful in general, it's still just like why even some people who ostensibly say are on the left, why do they keep bowing into this? It's because it's a matter of self-preservation for them. Like if your job is a fairly professional job where your reputation is very well on the line, your social appearance is on the line. And it's especially funny that these are the kind of people, again, who would also complain and joke about China's social credit while we have our own credit ratings. And those credit scores are somewhat dependent on like how you behave in the fucking world. So it's the wanting to have your cake and eat it too thing. And it's because they do feel on a level that they're losing their privilege. And so we're seeing an overcompensation, an overreaction, because there is a necessary sort of, I think, fear in the conservative mindset that eventually what they did will be repeated upon them.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really the heart of it is that they fear that they would face people as equals, and both in the sense that they wouldn't have. And I do feel there's a structural aspect to society that is about creating suffering. Like we don't need to have houseless people. Like it would cost. I've seen quotes of like 25 billion or something in that ballpark to end homelessness. Again, easily could cut the military budget, the police budget. No, we actually see as a society a value in tormenting and, quite frankly, deforming people emotionally, mentally, not necessarily physically, although obviously people who are going to come out of the police force and military do often come with physical scars to what they do. But I think there was even a piece in the New York Times recently about how drone jockeys are not getting the mental health care that they need. And so there's a lot of people who are quite literally using Xbox controllers, at least it was years back. They were using 360 controllers because, of course, Microsoft, they see there's big money there. Right. But yeah, people who are just pressing the X button and then deleting an entire family halfway around the world. It turns out that fucks with your very mortal soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or your psyche. Not to necessarily say religious, but I mean, in the sense that
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. You don't have to. Yeah.
I like the elevated sense, but then of course I'm overthinking it and got to go back and say, well, not like not there's a heaven, but your very being is I would say desecrated by this. And so there is a real taint to committing supposedly sanitized violence. Just as there is a very real taint to a lot of people who are on the force and don't even want to go there. But
thanks for the call, Grim.
Absolutely.
Have a great night.
You too.
All right, there were some other people on the line who I just missed. That number is doomed live on Skype. Feel free to call in. Let me read some super chats. There was a few I saw. 00 Govan 00 with a super chat. Yo, boy. Why, thank you. Evan B with a super chat. Thanks, Matt and Zoe. Solid work. That's right. Let me give an extra shout out to Zoe, who is, I believe, calling in right now. Which name are you calling from?
Hey Matt, it's Zoe from Montreal.
Hi, Zoe. Thank you so much for I don't know if you were planning on watching the show today. Zoe, ladies and gentlemen, is one of our wonderful YouTube mods, and Zoe did a fantastic job from what I could have seen while doing the show, producing the show, all the stuff I do while we're live, uh, making sure the live chat was a clean and respectable place. And when I say clean and respectable, I have very Zoe will know that I have very loose rules around the super chat as long as no one is ruining the experience by using obvious slurs or just spamming the chat. I have a pretty much very free speech attitude when it comes to the chat for right wingers, and and people on the left too.
yeah, no, it was, I think, the worst day since that one time.
Really?
Baked
You did a really good
Alaska.
job then. What was some of the stuff that we were seeing? Jeez, I didn't. You did great. I barely saw any of it.
Yeah, there were a lot of people just coming in to say "okay, groomer" and shit like that.
Oh, that's the most. The funny thing is, like, they've been doing that. I mean, I've been experiencing that for years from them.
Yeah,
It never phased me then. It phases me even less now. Like, it doesn't even. I mean, whoosh. I mean, whatever they say to me, the most. Over the years, I discovered the best thing that you can do to these people. It drives them absolutely nuts and bonkers. And sometimes I falter and don't follow this rule, but it's one that I every day just follow for the most part. And the worst thing you could do, it just really grinds these people's gears, is to literally ignore them. Just
yeah,
I don't see the replies. I tweet. I look at the replies from people. I don't mute anybody. I don't block anybody. I'm as open to you want to do whatever. That's on you. I don't see it. You don't. I don't even. Doesn't even. I barely look at my replies. In fact, one of the good things about having a verified account on Twitter is there's a tab they give you in the notification section that just lets you see mentions and interactions from other verified users. And while it
yeah,
sucks to not be able to see some of the interaction from non-verified people, I mean, for the most part, whatever they say to me, either I think it's hilarious or I don't see it.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of different also in a chat because it's a lot of people like all interacting
Right,
rather
right. They
than like,
ruin the chat by doing it over and over again, without a doubt.
yeah. And it's also just the fact that it's just very homophobic and all that.
Right. And also, I'm saying this from the perspective of, as a cis white male, it's quite easy for me to ignore these things because it doesn't make me, I have no, it doesn't make me remind me of any sort of institutional racism or homophobia or sexism or any real world experiences where what they say to me is words without anything behind them, to be quite frank. So
Yeah.
I totally know how it's different for women, the LGBTQ community, minority groups, marginalized groups, black people, Latinos, Asian Americans, Native Americans. So my experience is just that, what my experience is. So, I'm able to do that for many reasons, and I understand why other people can't.
Yeah. Also that one time the only time I saw was worse was when Baked Alaska brought his gang to the Jared Holt episode.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, that was a coordinated one though. This
Yeah.
one's interesting to me because I think these are just people who really hate Taylor Lorenz and they saw she was going to be
Yeah.
on, so they saw an opportunity. I don't think they were coordinated. I mean, it's totally
No, I
possible
don't.
they were, but I don't think they were.
Well, I think there were clearly some people who came in from like Pool, uh, or at least like,
Oh yeah, Tim Pool basically put together a video today calling
yeah,
me a liar because I pointed out that Taylor Lorenz did not publish any personal home address or telephone number, which is 100% accurate. personal home address or telephone number was not published in that piece. The only thing published in the piece was a name and a general location of where this person came from, Brooklyn, New York. The person doesn't even live in Brooklyn anymore. Taylor, the home in Los Angeles Taylor visited, Taylor never shared what the address of that home is, never shared the phone number she called. I believe Tim Pool has a problem with the fact that there was at some point, and I brought it up with Taylor when I asked her again about, what was published in there that Tim Pool could have a problem with, and she said nothing, and I looked at it. Tim Pool is claiming that there was a link in there in the Washington Post piece that included a home address for this woman. I've looked at this link, which seems to have since been removed. And there is not a home address. There's a public-facing address for the company, the real estate company that she used to work for, their public front-facing storefront, which is connected to the real estate license of every single realtor that works at their company, which means attached to this address is 20 some odd different real estate agents, that meaning that it does not specifically identify her or point to somewhere she would be in any way, shape, or form. So he's calling me a liar because he's claiming that it's not. No way. It's her personal address. I've spoken to some people who who will be writing about this, who've been looking into this, and they are confirming, as far as they've been able to find so far, that I am correct and that Tim Pool is wrong. And he is the one calling me a liar. He's also doing the thing where he claims on his show that he wants me to come on, and I haven't seen it, so I don't know if he said I didn't respond to his invite or something. I've seen some people tweet at me, why are you scared to go on Tim Pool's show? I can show you the direct message where I just sent him a DM the other day reminding him, hey buddy, a couple months ago you invited me on your show. You told me to reach out. I did. You said the schedule was full and you'd reach back out to me when you were scheduling the next month. You never did. I even said, hey, I know how it is. Stuff happens. You lose track. I'm always giving people the benefit of the doubt. That's my kind-hearted soul. And so I said, let's, if you really want to do this is before he said it in his video that that has his followers all coming at me now. I said, if you still have the invite open to me, let's get back on and let's do this. I'm the one who reinvigorated that invite. I could show people the direct message if they'd like. I could screenshot it and send it to them if they would like. If Tim Pool is dedicated to journalistic ethics like he claims, he has my permission to show them the screenshot in his own account of me saying this to him. But I'm not afraid of Tim Pool. I want to go on his show. I would love for him to come on this show, but if he wants me on his show, in office too, I'm happy to go down to the Tim Pool studios and go on his program. I've spoken with literally any and everybody who's come at me. Paul Elam of A Voice for Men, prominent men's rights activist, the Convo Couch people, hardcore anti-vax Jimmy Dorites, Michael Tracy, the king of contrarianism. Who else have I debated? I feel like I'm forgetting some people, but I've literally...
the gun girl.
Oh, right. I had Caitlin Bennett, the Kent State gun girl, on, and we had a debate. I've spoken with literally anybody, and everyone who's spoken to me will leave saying, no matter how heated or how wrong they were or how wrong they think I were, it was a respectful conversation. Because I'm not going to, just say random bullshit. I want to actually completely debunk and defile and deconstruct your wrong viewpoints. And the only way to best do that is to literally just focus on that. I have no reason to go at you personally or anything like that. You'll find that you'll walk away probably thinking, hey, Matt Binder is an uncharacteristically nice guy. That was bizarre.
Yeah, there's also one person who claimed to be coming from 4chan, which in the chat.
I would love for anyone to call in. 4chaners, please call in and tell me about the latest how your Emperor Sun God is doing. Looking like he's gonna pass out and at Mar-a-Lago. Tell me, I mean, literally anyone could call in. Doom's live. I'm very open. You could ask me anything. Um, you know,
I,
you wanna debate? You wanna interact with the other side? I mean, this is your chance, and you get an actual conversation out of me. Um, but again, thanks for being a mod, Zoe. Really appreciate it.
no problem. I do my best.
Have a great night.
Wait, I
Oh,
did
oh,
have
oh, oh,
something.
oh! Did I forget to? Okay, go ahead. I didn't realize
Yeah,
that there was
I
more.
didn't speak. We just
Please.
went
Oh,
into
I spent the
mod.
whole time thanking you about for being a mod, and then I went on a tangent about my the Tim Pool video. You're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Zoe.
It was just like, again, about the whole like groomer thing of like apparently mentioning the fact that like sexuality exists to like younger people is like this huge danger and all that I just find very just, well, bizarre, but also like uh, regressive, or maybe not regressive, but like old. Because like, I mean, if I speak from experience, like I'm bi, and I knew I was bi when I was like a child, and I unlearned it by being told how like being straight was just the normal, and I was like, well, I'm normal. So I just internalized that like I would be that I was
Right.
straight for
That's
like so long.
the thing is that they literally view uh, being gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, whatever you identify as your your sexual orientation, or all they view it as is they just view it's sexual, it's sexuality, it's sex,
Yeah,
it's pornographic. No, like you just said, and this is with uh, frankly everyone who is LGBTQ, at a young age before you're even like thinking in terms of that. You
yeah,
know. You know, and I can't I mean I'm not saying from experience, but from literally every single LGBTQ person I've ever spoken with, they know. And when they come out, honestly, depends on their surroundings, how much they feel like they have to repress who they are. Again, they know who they are, but they're repressing it is based on how the people around them, parents, family, friends, school, teachers, whomever, how they make them feel about being who they are. If they feel like they can't be open with who they are, then that's why you think that they're not, because they're not letting you know.
yeah. I mean, we already talked about like there's a mommy and there's a daddy, and like we don't talk about sex. But then if we go on to non-straight people, it's always just, oh, it's got to be about sex because love can't exist.
Right. They can't fathom that it's not, because they view the de facto, like the default, as just
Yeah,
being straight. So anything else must be sexual. It must be about having sex. And that's just not what it is. Just like how being straight isn't about having sex. Like I remember as a kid having a crush on like female cartoon characters. I
yeah,
didn't when I was like, 5, 6, 7 years old, I'm not thinking about having like sex with the princess from the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. I'm just thinking like, oh, she's cute. That's a cute character.
yeah. No, and it's just so fucking
Princess
annoying.
Sally, by the way, how can I forget?
Yes,
One of
that's
my first loves.
wow, deep lore. So yeah, I just needed to hear my just annoyance over that, and people will just go like, you can't like talk about not being straight to like kids because somebody think of the kids.
Yeah, I mean, what they really want is to harm. They're the ones who are harming children. I'm
Oh
not gonna.
yeah,
I'm not gonna throw around terms that mean nothing to them like they do. They are, but what they are doing, and this is 100% fact, they are harming children. There will be children who lead depressed, miserable lives because of their actions. There will be children who take their lives because of their actions. And I mean, they won't care, but that's on them. That's on them. They don't value life the way someone like you or I do, where they think people should be able to live their lives however makes them happy as long as it doesn't harm anyone else, and that's exactly what they're against. They don't think people should live their lives. They are the ones who want to dictate how people get to live their lives.
Yeah. No, it's also you started a real great conversation about cartoon crushes in chat. So
Oh, did I? I mean,
yeah,
Princess Sally. I mean, can't we got Lola Bunny, Jessica Rabbit in the chat. No, I'm sorry. Princess Sally's the one who she was the one for me. It always disappointed me that she's only in that one Sonic the Hedgehog series that just got
yeah,
like two pretty short seasons. They never put her in the video game. We got Amy instead. Amy's not as cool
yeah.
as Princess Sally. I'm sorry.
There's Cream.
By the way, the Sonic 2 movie, I took my kids to see it. Really fantastic. Really great. If you're a Sonic fan or you got kids, or if you don't have kids, really, it's just a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. Much better than the first one too. And the first one I thought was
Oh,
a fun family. I'm a sucker for. I actually think this isn't one of them, but I actually think the best couple of movies that have come out in the past couple of years have actually been. Uh, Again, maybe I'm showing my bias and how much I get to watch with kids, but uh, kids movies have been hitting out of the ballpark. Um, Encanto. What's the other one? Mitchell and the Machines. Turning Red. Kids movies have really been killing it. These are like, I'm not just saying for kids movies. I'm saying like literally those are three of the best movies I've seen, and
yeah,
they're really good. I mean, they're just kids, and they're not even kids. They're family films because they're not just for kids.
yeah.
But man, they've been really hitting out of the ballpark. Oh, I will say, I just saw Robert Pattinson as the Batman on HBO Max last night. And this may be controversial. I'm about to say something very controversial. I shocked
Ooh,
myself with my
ooh.
take after watching the movie. I think he's the best Batman I've seen.
Wow.
He was really
Nonetheless.
good. And I think the movie really helped too. I mean, it's gonna suck because there's no way the Joker in maybe I just did a spoiler, but there's no way. I really like in the previous in the Dark Knight series. I think Heath Ledger is the best Joker I've seen, and I really like what's his face is Tom Hardy's Bane. And I don't know
Oh,
if the villains in this new one will live up to those two, but
so
for Batman, Robert Pattinson's the best Batman I've seen.
so so there's no Jared Leto as the Joker in this
Thank God, no.
one.
Thank God, no.
All right. Oh, that was my piece.
All right, Zoe. Thank you so much for calling in. Really appreciate it. Always a pleasure to
Yeah,
talk with you. And again, can't thank you enough for doing what you do as a mod.
yeah, no problem. It's my pleasure.
I mean, you do it. You
No,
gotta,
I did. It's
it's gotta feel a little bit. It's gotta feel a little bit good. Be honest when you
yes,
see
it
someone
does.
and you
It
hit that button and you just tailored everyone's experience in that way.
no, it does sometimes. I try and like see it as like a arcade light gun shooter game where I just have to like hit that just three little dots while the chat moves. So,
Right. Yep.
that's fun.
Yep. Thanks again, Zoe.
No problem. Ciao.
Have a great night.
Night.
Bye. We got a bunch of callers. Let's see. Oh, just hung up on someone who called in. Calling now. I'll take the next call. There's a few people. I'll get to everybody. We started early, so I could go a little bit longer tonight. Yeah, just call in. Don't have to message me. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Is this me? Sorry.
This is you. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Megs. I'm calling from Utah.
Well, I'm sorry, Megs, you said?
Yeah, Megs.
Hey, Megs from Utah. What would you like to talk about?
I kind of want to talk about feminism, if that's an appropriate thing to talk about in relation to this Libs of TikTok. That's what the account is
Yeah,
called?
absolutely. We could talk about anything you'd like, but that works even better because it ties right into the show. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have seen some people describing this account as a turf account, I guess. And I feel like the use of the word turf is a little bit ahistorical, and I feel like
Oh
it
yeah,
kind of why, yeah.
this is not a turf account because being a turf
Mhm,
requires that you have some sort of your politics lie in liberalism in some way or fashion. You are, in some way a feminist. You are in some
mhm.
way a liberal. This is just plain old conservative bigotry. This is nothing turf about this account.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, but I would also kind of push back on the idea that like turf is liberalism because like the historical turfs, like some of them were Marxists. Like there was like the Silvia Federici types, and
Oh,
then there.
but I should amend. You're right, absolutely, and you could be literally anywhere in the left spectrum, liberal. You're absolutely right. You just have to be anti-trends, but you don't. That's where it doesn't fit for anyone who's to the
Mhm.
right of center. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess I wanted to bring this up because I feel like there's a lot of like discourse around turfs, but like people both don't understand like the historical turfs and what they wanted and how that's kind of disconnected from modern turfs. And also, I think that like when we respond to, these women who are transphobes, that's the more accurate description of them. I think that we should maybe use some of these like feminist talking points, not in this particular instance because Libs of TikTok is not a feminist from what I have seen. But I think that a lot of people aren't aware of kind of the larger history of like, in like the second wave feminism, we have like, there's, as I mentioned, the kind of Marxist feminists, the Silvia Federici types who are, they are very specific in their goals. They're advocating for wages, for housework, for domestic labor. I think that Angela Davis has a better solution than specifically Federici, and you'll notice that Angela Davis is also less of a turf than some of these old feminists. And then there are also kind of the people who describe themselves as like female separatists. Like these are the people who made those like women only music festivals where you could only go there if you were a woman, and then they started to kind of gatekeep who they thought was or wasn't a woman. um, Alison Bechtel of I can't say the name of her comic, I think, on Twitch. um, Brackets lesbians to watch out for has a lot of like interesting stuff about like that kind of history, as well as Jack Halberstam is a really interesting trans mask writer who kind of still identifies as a feminist, who's written a lot about kind of that history of like old school trans exclusionary radical feminists. But the thing to hit on is that all of these people were both feminists and radicals. Like they had very radical ideas, like people should be getting paid for the labor that they're doing. And or there's the female separatists who are a little bit more nebulous in terms of we shouldn't even be hanging out with men, we should be political lesbians. When I see like modern turfs, and like this includes like J.K. Rowling, and then it becomes so morphed that we even consider this like psychopathic right-wing like professional doxer turf. None of them have any actual like radical they don't have any demands of
Right.
like they don't have. It's inaccurate to call them trans exclusionary radical feminism because their feminism is about nothing but hating trans people. And it's like almost like an insult to some of these like Marxists who were like, okay, well, we're interested in like the struggle of the housewife and like how her labor is alienated, she isn't compensated for raising her children, she's like living alone, her lifestyle is dependent on her husband, who had these actual demands. And then just saying that like these frankly like lib to conservative like women who just kind of vaguely are like, well, being a woman is very important to me. And I just really think that the idea of womanhood, like there's nothing radical going on there. And so I think that when we respond to them, I think that we should maybe borrow from some of these great feminist thinkers in terms of all of the stuff that they're talking about. So when people are talking about like women in or trans women in women's sports, like I think that this is a hilarious thing, because if we think about like well, Bell Hooks has a great book, Feminism from Margins to Center, you know, trying to reframe how we're doing feminism. And this sports stuff feels like bullseye feminism, like feminism for 12 people, literally. And so I would say that, like, you know, rather than saying like, oh, well, you know, maybe trans women actually aren't like, you know, they actually aren't superior to women after all of these hormones. What we should be saying instead is, oh, are these girls worried that they're going to lose their scholarships? Well, all colleges and universities should be free. When we talk about trans women in prison, the Women's Liberation Front has written a bunch of stuff about this. We should not be saying like, oh, well, you know, trans women need to be in women's prisons because, you know, all these things. We should be saying we need to liberate the vast majority of people who are currently in prison. Like, if your name is Women's Liberation Front, maybe you should advocate for the liberation of some women. When we talk about women's domestic violence shelters, I think that we shouldn't be talking about, okay, well, you know, trans women are more like, it is true that trans women are more likely even than cis women to be victims of violence. But what we should be saying is that housing should be a human right, and a huge barrier to people, a huge reason why women are targeted, end up in these shelters, is because they are dependent on a partner to provide them housing. And so then they aren't able to get away from relationships that turn out to be abusive or not equal. And so we should be advocating for free housing.
I agree. I agree with you in the big picture, but I do think there is a point to also providing a solution in the current reality. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why, as you
Yeah.
know, a lot of leftists, especially streamers, spend, in my personal opinion, way too much time talking theory. You won't hear that on this show. Maybe I'm not smart enough to talk theory, but but I just you know, there's plenty of places to talk about that. I like to sort of. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just giving you like my I think there's real help in I think there's real movement in dealing with the political reality sometimes. But at the same time, I agree that the big picture should be the ultimate goal. It's like sort of what I say when people say like, it's the same thing I believe when people say like, oh, I don't see color. It's like, I mean, that would be the most beautiful utopian scenario where one day we don't, but guess what? We do. That's the world we live in. You know, if you're black, people see you as black. If you're Latino, people see you as Latino. People see color. So maybe we could strive for that better tomorrow where the color of your skin doesn't matter. But if you're not dealing with the reality that it does in the current, you know, world we live in, then I think that's also, you know, not helpful either.
Well, I guess I would agree that some of the stuff I've said is like, you know, very out there, but like the thing, there are real politicians.
I think big picture is much more,
like, because there are real politicians who are advocating for free college, even the child tax credit, which is kind of handled and the Democrats just kind of flubbed. Like, even that was kind of like a step in the right direction, I think, to like trying to do some of these like like revolutionary feminist goals, I guess.
No, I think first of all, your main point about, you know, conservative women just being fascist bigots are definitely not TERFs. So anyone calling them TERFs should not call them TERFs. It's just wrong. It's like, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene hates trans people. She's also out there saying women are weak. She's not a TERF. She's just a bigot. She's just a fascist. Yeah. She hates trans people. She's not a feminist in any way, shape, or form. Just because she's a woman doesn't make her a feminist. And at the same aspect, TERFs, who actual legit TERFs, can also, I guess, go fuck themselves. Like, they're also shitty people. But we should apply these labels to actually who they are and not just throw them around without actually, because then the definitions become pointless and there is no, there is some redeeming points that, like you mentioned, like, some turfy people make, but at the end of the day, they are anti-trans, so you cannot ally with them.
Yeah, and I think that like if you go to, I think that there's a lot of like astroturfing as well. If you go to like the turf like forums and stuff and you read what they say, they will like write posts like, "Oh, I can't support Ketanji Brown Jackson getting into the Supreme Court because she can't define a woman. I think that she's a worse Supreme Court justice than Amy Coney Barrett. There's nothing to worry about with Amy Coney Barrett." So you can see that they're willing to throw out like even like abortion rights in favor of
You saw turf say that?
I could send you the link. It's
Ooh.
from Over It.
Please send it to me. You have my Twitter handle at Mappinder?
Yeah, I do.
Are you on Twitter? I just assume everyone's on Twitter nowadays.
I'm on Twitter. I'm not like I don't post a lot.
Do you want to DM that to me? I would love to see.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's not like it's from like the old version of Gender Critical, but after they got it's like a specifically TERF subreddit, or TERF website. I mean.
Right. I gotta say, I follow a lot of reactionary groups. I typically focus on, the far right and ideologies in that, in that spectrum. But I do enjoy the dumb libs like I guess Jimmy Dore. But TERFs have always been an area that I guess I've dropped the ball with. I really don't pay much attention to them. They're also a very small group of people. I mean, they're obviously very harmful, but also very small group of people. Although, J.K. Rowling is bringing that term back though, to the forefront.
Well, I would say that they're very small, and especially in America. But I'm very like in the UK, like they're a part of like a very specific movement that I would say is to like neoliberalize or defund the NHS, because all of the rhetoric there is not just, ooh, trans people might be in the bathroom. It's the NHS specifically is transing your children.
That's very true, and I forget to step out of America sometimes. I don't know what's going on in the UK. What are they? What is it called? Like Turf Island? That's the term I've seen.
Yes.
What the hell is going on there? Americans who are in here right now, if you are watching and you feel like shit is bad in the US, if you want to feel better, literally look at the discourse going on in the UK. It will blow your mind if you don't already know about it. It is unbelievable how like anti-trans, like the general, it feels like the general feeling over there is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I said, I think that even in the UK, it's not really that popular of a movement, but it's very amplified because I think it's very useful to have like a bunch of like poor besought women being like, "Oh, the NHS, they stole my daughter." Like, and I think that the end goal is to defund the NHS, and then obviously here it's just to get like right-wing people excited and get them to show up for elections.
I mean, honestly, I wish we had an NA. Oh my God, it's a tongue twister here. I wish we had an NHS for them to try to defund, quite honestly.
Yes. Yes. And it's really frustrating to see like supposed feminists, because the NHS is like such a gift to women, especially poor women. Like, it helped women not like give birth more easily. They have all these programs for new women, and then we see them like attacking the NHS under the banner of feminism. It really makes me sad.
Right. It's in, they'll twist themselves in nonstop because they come from a privileged position. Like they don't need that. So they're fine to push marginalized people under the bus to, I don't know, stop trans people from identifying as women. Oh my God, what a horrible thing. Amazing. Anything else?
I think that's it. Yeah, I can DM that post to you though from the
definitely
Reddit, or not. It's not on Reddit anymore, but yeah, if you're interested, there's a lot of stuff on there from
if you don't mind me asking, because I noticed you're, I have my regular callers and then I have my first time callers. I realize you're a first time caller. It sounds like. How'd you find out about the show?
I mean, I've been watching it for a while,
Oh, okay.
but I have never called in because using Skype is hard, I guess.
I know I've probably been saying this for like months, but I will get another way. Just that the streaming software I use has like a Skype integration built in. So literally, I press I take your call, like I just press the button to pick up the phone on Skype, and everything automatically just goes through the stream. So it's just so easy. But I'll work out a way for people who do feel that same way about Skype, so that they could call in.
All right. Well, thank you for taking my call.
And thanks for navigating the intricacies of Skype for me.
Yeah. All right.
Have a great night.
Thanks. Yep. You too.
Bloop bloop. Anyone else? Ooh, there's a bunch of callers. This always happens. Everyone calls in at once, and then I take the call, and then I hang up the call to take another call, and then everyone hangs up at once. Let me let all these people know. Oh, here we go. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Matt, this is Right Wing Zach from Tennessee.
Right Wing Zach. Can I pull you up on the feed, Right Wing Zach?
Pull me up.
I got to ask you a question. When you grow a mustache, does that turn you into a right winger?
It turns me into a groomer. I groom my mustache. I took my beard off,
okay.
So I groomed over the weekend.
I do wonder how like people who cut your pet dog's hair feel.
Oh God!
Because they are called. Their literal job title is groomer. I'm taking my dog to the groomers. And if you look online, when you look online, the groomer merchandise that's out there, because I've looked up to see like if the right was like printing up stuff, but the vast majority of what you see is like proud groomer with like a picture of a dog on there. Like it's all, and like scissors. It's like these poor people who became dog groomers just because they love animals, no politics, nothing, and they're all of a sudden they can't call themselves groomers anymore.
What one more thing ruined by right wing shitheads, man. That's it.
These poor people.
So it's well, I mean, and I'm calling in as right wing. Zach, you said you wanted some right wingers. I wanted to call in to debate the merits of tanning your balls.
I have not.
Where do you stand on that?
I haven't seen the Tucker thing yet. I was planning on doing for this episode this week. I was planning on doing from last week. I was planning on doing because I haven't done one in a while, a watch party for the latest QAnon movie. Oh my God, I'm having a mental blank. I think it's called Watch the Water.
Yeah.
And then the Libs of TikTok stuff happened. And I was in touch with Taylor because of what was going on, like because I was following it, I was tracking it, like well before she made it public that she was putting it together a piece because she had everything she needed. And she reached out to me because she saw some of the things that I tweeted. I think it was the Glenn Greenwald one, maybe. And we were talking, and I was like, "Hey, you want to come on and talk about it?" And she was awesome enough to say yes. And so I was like, everything else got to stop. This is what we're talking about. No doubt about it. This is the show.
It's beautiful. It's a great get, by the way. Very, very timely. I knew you'd get a lot of right wing trolls. And shitheads
the funny thing is they shit on her, but like whatever you think about her, and I don't know how you don't like think what she does is, but like whatever you think about her, like she gets so much shit and she just like takes it. Like
I know,
like they'll post those clips and those screenshots of her, getting upset and emotional in that like MSNBC interview, but like she literally takes it all the time, and that's like I take it. I'm not a woman, which means A, it's not as much, and then also B, I don't have as large of a platform, so it's not that much on another scale. So whatever I get, she gets by like 1,000-fold, and she continues knocking out these awesome pieces of like that no one else is really. People were talking about the Elizabeth TikTok one, so that's not but
Yeah.
from what I see from her, like things that no one's talked about, period, a lot of times, and then she just like breaks something that's completely new, and I'm like, I haven't even heard of this shit.
I think she does great work. She's a warrior. I often wonder, with a little bit of concern for guys like you and women like Emma and guys like Brandon and Sam and just everyone. I do worry for you people sometimes that because there's so many but most of them are, excuse my language, most of them are pussies, so or wusses. Most of these right wing stalker types are kind of wusses. They're not really gonna hopefully come to your house, but I do.
I mean, they can. I've told them. I mean, I've said it on the show. If they want to do an act of journalism, or they could reach out to me very easily. They could message me if it's in actual good faith, like they claim. Which, I mean, they don't claim, but if they actually want to do the equivalent as to what Taylor did, journalism, they can reach out to me. I don't know what they would write about. They're free to. I literally am an open book on this show. I tell you guys everything. You could reach out to me. You could call into the show. You could debate ideology. It's very easy to get a hold of me, and I interact with anyone who wants to interact. Obviously in good faith. If you're just gonna message me and call me, whatever you call me, like I said earlier, I'm just gonna literally ignore you because I don't care.
Right.
I got better things to do. But if you want to get into like an actual you can even get heated with me and get angry with me. But if it has to be of something of substance. If you want to do that, then by all means. You can even if we're talking about something and you want to call me a fucking asshole, by all means, go ahead. But there's got to be something substantive there. Otherwise, don't waste my time.
Yeah, I'm tanning my balls, you shithead.
Right. Right.
But the one thing I wanted to we had some crazy right wing stuff here in East Tennessee over the weekend. We had the NASCAR race was here in nearby Bristol, and me and my girlfriend were heading over that way, and we passed by the racetrack, and I stopped, and she was like, "Please don't." I stopped and took some great pictures. Got some seriously good footage of just the most insane merchandise, people, tents. It was pretty. It was lit, as they say. It's really weird with the NASCAR circuit. The corporate wing of NASCAR has gone so far as to ban the rebel flag from being flown inside the racetracks. So there's this little line. There's like this DMZ of all the crazy vendors selling the Let's Go Brandon, the Fuck Joe Biden, the Budweiser flag. There's a flag with it's supposed to be Budweiser, but it's just two girls with big butts, and it's like Budweiser. So there's a very clear demarcation. But so that was in town for the weekend. I've got some good pictures of it. The thing I was going to ask you about,
it is interesting that obviously corporation like NASCAR has, you could just see they've become more aware of these things. Again, this is just the corporate, but it shows you just how the tide is turning. People like Glenn Greenwald see this as the corporations are on your side, or the Dorites say the corporation, you're wrong. No, it means that we've won. They're not doing it because they want to. They realized they had to. And that's not because we've made hopefully we're continuing to make a society that's more accepting of a diverse group of people. And by doing so, more people feel comfortable being themselves, which means we start to see, hey, that neighbor who I never thought anything of, turns out he's a gay man. The poor guy's in his 60s and hasn't been able to come out until now because he never felt comfortable. We're seeing this all the time. And no one gets like brainwashed into being gay. I'm sorry. Nobody
Yeah.
gets brainwashed into being gay. These people were repressed due to the society they lived in when they were growing up. And we've finally created a world where they feel comfortable to come out. And quite frankly, it's sad. It's sad because they've lived an unhappy life. And they've lost years they'll never get back. And and it's not their fault, but then they end up hurting the people around them too. You hear a lot of stories now of women whose husbands came out and they got a divorce and kids had passed away because of this reason. When if he felt comfortable and was able to come out, or she felt comfortable and was able to come out at the very beginning, possibly would have never happened.
Could have saved all that heartache.
Yes.
And that's the sad part about it with in the LGBT community, that they've had a nice, well, I wouldn't say nice. They finally gotten some years of mainstream acceptance, and this is what I was getting at. I think of the fact that this groomer and this sudden rush against LGBTQ issues and transgender, I believe it's all of a piece. Just like CRT popped up last June, right before the Virginia governor's race and the New Jersey, and then it went away. Just like the Rufo guy, he engineered that. Christopher Rufo,
oh yes, he's still
the guy. Okay, so
which still amazes me, and I forgot who said this. It was so good. It was some random Twitter account who I've come across a number of times, and they have usually very good takes. If it's who I'm thinking of, I just want to read this. Okay, here it is. Theofight at Theofight on Twitter. It is crazy that Chris Rufo outright declared, "I am going to knowingly tell this lie, and the media is going to be repeating it 6 months from now." And he did, and the media is doing it, and that tweet is still up.
No.
He continued, "You have a fucking signed confession which reads, 'I am doing this in bad faith.' And it is completely unambiguous, and yet everyone has to pretend that it doesn't exist." It encapsulates my feeling exactly. What why does the media feel like they need to give these people like sort of equal footing or like give them like the fact that just assume they're dealing in good faith, when by their own words and acknowledgement in a public forum says, "I am not doing this in good faith"?
Yeah, I know. And that's what I always point back to. It's like, why are we always playing on their field on this, way off, unimportant,
well, it's also
non-existent thing?
That we aren't. The mainstream media that gives them these outlets, they're not. That's what the right wing thinks. But like CNN, MSNBC, local media outlets, online, the vast majority of even online media outlets. How many actual like leftist media outlets are there? Not many. We don't have a whole ecosystem like the right. And the fact that what we do have is so dispersed. Like the right has like an organized manufactured machine where they're all sucking each other off.
Sure.
We don't have that. I would love for another left-wing channel to suck me off.
I know. It's getting sucked off. A Soros suck off. It's just not happening. I'm sorry to disappoint everyone on the right, but Soros suck offs. Soros bucks, maybe. Soros sucks. No, I don't think that's going to happen. But it's all of a piece. I think they're really dipping into the gay and transgender phobia here to drum up, sufficient outrage for the midterm so that they can do another shellacking.
It will be interesting to see what drops right after the midterm election.
Exactly.
Just like, remember that caravan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That went away the day after the 2018 midterms.
I mean, I don't even know. Did it ever get here? Who knows?
No, it did a U-turn on November like 5th, whatever. It did a U-turn and headed back down to Panama.
Right. And it just reminded me of the thing Texas is doing, where they're taking people who come across the border, and they're throwing them on a bus and bring them to DC as like some sort of own to liberals. Like, I mean, you're providing them free transportation to the general area they want to go to. I assure you.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe they got to hop on an extra bus or train to get further up northeast or further down south. But you're taking them where they want to go to. I assure you. So thank you.
I'd love to get. Yeah, I'd love to get out of East Tennessee for a couple of weeks. And you know, the crazy thing is like, oh yeah, I'm sure the Metro DC area is going to really notice 1,000, you know, Hispanics. I'm sure that's going to just terrify.
Please continue bringing your immigrants, shipping them over to New York. I love it. I mean, fucking most diverse city in the world. I love it. I could go.
Great.
I live in Queens. I could go anywhere and get any type of food. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Meet the nicest people from all over the world and experience culture without having to take a plane and actually go to the country itself, because we got the most authentic whatever you want to see right here in beautiful New York City, baby. I love it.
You got it all. I enjoy.
And another thing, safest city I've ever been. I mean, doesn't get any safer. Right. They love to pretend it isn't. I walk outside. I walk around. I you know, wherever I am, Queens, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the Bronx. Are there bad areas? Sure, there is in every city.
There's bad areas where I live.
In every
it's the widest.
In you know, the overview though. Never feel worried. Never feel gotta look over my shoulder. City that never sleeps, baby. Big Apple, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. I love it. I'm jealous of you. You know, when I work in, I do some construction and framing, and I love working with crews that have a couple, you know, that are diverse, have Hispanics. I get to speak my Spanish with them, and they can do jobs that most of these pasty kind of weak white boys can't do, and they can do them 5 times as fast. It's just a better experience, and so you know, it's like, oh, please don't, you know, please don't do that, Governor Abbott. I hope maybe that will hurt him. I doubt it will, but I do think it's all of a piece, just to maybe, and we'll see if this hatred and this groomer crap, if it persists past November, depending on the outcome. So
I think it's very important. I mean, it's likely not going to happen, but it's very important for people to get out there and vote in November and make sure these bigots lose. I mean, it's obviously. I mean, again, I deal in reality. It's not looking good, but it doesn't have to be that way. Like, we can turn it around. And I'm not saying this because I'm a Democrat or I like the Democratic Party, but literally vote against. Then vote against
harm reduction.
Yes. And shut this shit down. Just shut it down. I mean, and then we could work right after. There's gonna be some great progressive candidates too, by the way. Vote for them. And then we can turn this ship around. You know, we got then 2024 is right around the corner. Maybe Biden won't run again. Did you see the news today that Bernie's thinking about going for 3?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it'd be an interesting time. That gives me agita thinking of the 2024 presidential primary. If there's, you know, 2 open primaries, it would be interesting. I supported Biden last time, but I would probably consider supporting Bernie next time, because he's a little bit more energetic, and we need some energy right now.
I got Brian. I'm sorry, I got Brian Young here in the chat saying NYC is amazing with a funny face. Ride the subway every day and then tell me that. Brian Young, I'm born and raised New Yorker. I've been riding the subway every fucking day of my life for as long as I've lived, buddy. I've never been mugged, never been attacked. Got friends all over the city. No problems whatsoever. I'm the most New
Yeah,
York
Brian
you've ever
Young.
seen, and
Brian Young, you're a clown, Brian Young.
What
Get
the
out of
hell are
here,
you
man. You
talking
don't
about, buddy?
understand.
Ride the subway. You know what I do when I ride the subway? If I see, I know what you're talking about. The homeless people. Oh no,
Right.
a downtrodden person who needs help. You know what I do when I see a homeless person? I give them $1. I ask them if they want me to buy them a hot dog.
Yep.
Give me a break, buddy.
I do the same. I do the same thing. It's a good deal. I liked what your first caller said. The guy that walking around in Brooklyn talking about Lee Atwater, and I think what he was referring to was Lee Atwater in either 72 or 80. You know, he was an advisor to Nixon and Reagan, and he did bring in the verbiage of in the 50s, whereas you could openly say the N word. When they lost the ability to do that, then they used terms like forced busing and tax cuts to take the place of the straight up racism. So that was a great point. It's Lee Atwater, who had a firm with Paul Manafort and Roger Stone. I mean, a classic villain, right up there with Ailes and Limbaugh, and now Trump. It's a straight line, and it's a shit show and a shame. But thankfully, we got Matt Bender doing Doomed. We got Emma over there at the Majority Report. Sam Cedar, once he gets his sick ass better back on the air. I mean, if he'll obey the health protocols next time, maybe he's learned his lesson. So Matt, have a good evening. Thanks for the great interview tonight, and we'll talk to you later. Okay, man.
Take care. Have a great night.
Check you later.
Always a pleasure to talk when you call in, buddy. I'll take another call or two if you want to call in. I see there's a few more people. Here we go. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hello.
Is it me? Oh,
it is you.
My
Yep.
timing was great. So this is Piero here in Maine. I'm MCWCAM in the chat.
Okay, MCWAM. What's up? What do you want to talk about?
Well, one thing on the long term, I have a thing, but before that, like on the long term idea, I was wanting to call you guys at the Majority Report when I felt it was Michael invented the dumb left.
He did.
Term.
That's right.
Don't do that. Don't. And it's Jimmy Dore. But now I do see that probably it was inevitable, the conflict, and I'm actually really sad about Max Blumenthal and even Aaron Mattei. I thought these were going to be our Amy Goodmans and Glenn Greenwald. I don't even understand. But
I mean, I totally get that. Let's put it this way. When it came to the gray zone, I just kept whenever I was thinking about the gray zone, I usually tried to just think of like Ben Norden or Rania. Oh my God, I can't remember her last name. But do I agree with everything they say? No, but I thought they were both do good work.
I thought so, yeah.
But Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mattei, I always had weird feelings about.
Oh really?
Yeah. I
Glenn
remember
Greenwald,
specifically.
I'm definitely sad about.
I remember specifically. I wrote a piece about Max Blumenthal about the gray zone, how their tweets on Twitter were being flagged by Twitter with a little warning label that said hacked material. And I thought it was a weird thing for Twitter to do, regardless of what you thought of the platform, because just labeling something hacked material doesn't necessarily mean anything. There's plenty of good reporting that comes out of hacked material. There's also bad reporting that comes out of it. But so that's what I mean. Like a label that says hacked material.
Do you think the dumb left concept is the right concept now? Because now
no,
it
was right then when they were still portraying themselves as leftists.
Now
Max Blumenthal
called them right wing.
Yeah, Max Blumenthal.
Glenn even.
Max Blumenthal and Jimmy Dore and Glenn Greenwald, complete masks off. The other people, Aaron Mattei, I don't know. He's sort of juggles in the middle, I think. I wouldn't call him a leftist, but he's not a right winger fully. You know what I mean? He's somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, well, I guess I got fooled. I consider myself pretty good at that. Anyway, so my question was, do you remember when, I think it was Jade Helm or something, the right wing, this is kind of a pre-Q thing where they thought Obama was going to stage, a military exercise and put them all in FEMA camps? Do you remember
Oh,
that?
how could I forget? That was the
Yeah.
that was the conservative conspiracy theory of
Yeah.
like 2012, 2011, 2012, somewhere around that time period.
So is that totally off the table?
Oh no, Jade Helm is one that's
No,
that's stuck.
Can we do that? That was actually a good idea. They had a good idea for us, and I'm just thinking, at the time I thought it was ridiculous, but
it's so weird.
So yeah, I'm
man.
curious what we do with this. So you just say that the approach is they're not the left at all, anyway.
They're not. I mean, Glenn Greenwald's the one who I guess fooled me because I respected his work. I did. I mean, I always knew that he wasn't like a leftist activist, but you can tell based on someone's reporting where they stand, and I thought he was like a libertarian left type of guy. Obviously,
I hate to be like, you sold out and look at all the money, though obviously you got to follow the money, but that's kind of what they do and Jimmy does. But it's pretty blatant, like it looks like somebody had if it's not money, it's some other kind of
I don't even think you need to think anything nefarious. There is literally just more money flowing around on the right in terms of like, subscribe to my Substack, subscribe to my Patreon.
Glenn was already rich.
I mean,
he already was retirement rich. If he wanted, he didn't have to.
I mean, he does the Tucker Carlson hits, and I mean, I don't know if they pay him, but if they do, I can tell you from my knowledge of how much like contributors there's basically when it comes to these cable news hits, there's like just guests who they contact and ask to come on. You don't get paid. But then there is like guest contributors, like Sam Cedar. I don't know if he still is, but he was a contributor on MSNBC, where they basically just paid him when they asked him to come on. And the idea is, you'll be more regularly asked to come on than just like an average guest. And the hope is that you'll come on. I don't know if he needed to only go on that station. I'm not sure what the details of that is, but the idea is you'll come on more frequently, and we pay you per hit. And it's not a lot. It's not a lot of money. Maybe a couple hundred, if even that. I'm not just saying in general. I don't know what Sam's deal is, to be honest. Sam doesn't even tell me when I'm not going to be on the show.
That's to create your own brand, right? Like if you have your own brand, you're writing books, and if some of those people get to be hosts, but mostly they don't. But that can't be why Glenn is going on Tucker Carlson. It's got to be, it's the fact that then he feeds people to his Substack. But even so,
I think he likes. I mean, because listen, he hasn't done anything. I mean, he can coast on his work he has done. It's certainly his, the NSA reporting,
and turns out mostly to be Snowden
and his work in. Well, yeah, but I mean. I don't think that's as a journalist. I don't think that's a good.
He went off the rails on Brazilian politics too. Really,
yes, he went.
Right?
Yeah, but his original. Yeah, I completely agree. But I think the work he did. I don't think his political leanings changed that. But also you do have to realize, like I think you're trying to point out, that his biggest story fell in his lap, and he didn't even want it at first. Snowden had to go to Laura Poitras and basically get her to set up the encrypted way to get in touch because Glenn didn't want to be bothered with it. He didn't want to be bothered with doing it. He also didn't want to help. He wanted nothing to do with Reality Winner's story. Excuse me. He felt like what she did wasn't important enough to warrant his time. He didn't want to cover what she was trying to get out, which is astounding. I mean, yeah, it didn't fall in his worldview wheelhouse about Russia, but she had information nonetheless, and he didn't want to cover it.
Well,
I'll tell you right now that if someone drops some bombshell report leaked to me that undermines, that makes the Biden administration look horrible, and it's something that's certainly worth the public knowing about, I will, and they came to me, I would report it 100%, easy peasy. Same if Bernie Sanders was president and someone was like, this really shady thing is happening under the Bernie Sanders administration. Check this out. I would 100% report it. It does not matter to me about that shit. My number one goal is getting the public information that is worthy for them to know about.
Well, it's weird to me that it just keeps going on and on. Like tonight with your guest, that Glenn somehow has the inside track on some shit posting super TikTok channel, or I don't know where that.
He either has a direct contact with them.
That level of. That's weird. I remember the last time he was on Majority Report. I think it was the last time, and he was trying to walk that line of like why he was just turning at that point. And that's a long way to go to having some inside thing with the January 6th type people and the QAnoners. So well,
he found his people. I mean, he found people.
Guess so.
I mean, it's nonstop. You just get constant backpats, honestly, on the right. Like, they will twist themselves in knots to defend you on every take, whereas you won't get that on the left. I've seen all the time, if I have a take that people who I consider to be people I know and respect, if they disagree with me, they'd let me know, and same with me. You don't get that on the right. They're literally twisting themselves in knots on the right now, defending that tweet I found from Libs of TikTok, where she was literally attacking a organization that provides suicide prevention hotline to youth. I mean, they're twisting themselves in knots defending her for that. I mean, I don't know. Like, if the idea is that their defense is this woman just takes videos from TikTok and gives it and shines a light on it, presents it to a larger audience. Even if that's your belief, which is not what she does, but even if that's your belief, that tweet completely undermines all of it. There is no video here. There is no just presenting people's opinion. It is literally a tweet from Trevor Project telling LGBTQ youth how they can reach out to the suicide prevention hotline. And for that, Libs of TikTok called the Trevor Project a grooming organization, a criminal outfit. Because remember, grooming is not calling someone a jerk or an asshole or a piece of shit or a fucking idiot, or even if you want to use the R word or whatever, it's not the equivalent to that, because grooming and pedophilia are actual accusations of criminality.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I forget, I might get it wrong, that Michigan state senator or whatever, I'm probably getting the details wrong, that just recently stood up against somebody having a campaign ad based on that. They're just throwing that. Yeah, it's strange how extreme it's gotten. People need to at least stand up to it. But anyway, thanks for taking my call.
I will tell you this, being that you dropped it at the end there, I will tell you this.
Yeah.
The groomer and pedophilia stuff does work in silencing people. That's why they do it. I don't know how effective it is now that they've completely run amok with it and are like demeaning it more and more. But I can tell you that over the years, I went after these people over the years, because I've been doing this for over a decade now, and I've never shied away from this stuff, and because I got nothing to hide. They could have I got nothing, and I have been attacked years and years ago for all sorts of things that called all sorts of names. And I will tell you that people who I thought would step up and defend me did not even just stepped out of it, did the opposite. So it's not surprising.
Well, and it's worse. It's even worse that because it's become a dog whistle for these troops of meme makers that'll back up just that angle.
Right.
Just like so it's even worse than the old, throwing the mud to see what sticks. And it's surprising with people distance because of any kinds of accusations. And as obviously, especially vile version. And there's so much projection, you have to just wonder. It's like, well, geez, maybe it's just projection.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Matt. Love your stuff.
Thank you so much,
Keep
and
fucking on.
really appreciate the kind words. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks.
Have a good night. All right, how long have I been streaming for? I can't tell because this isn't the usual time. All right, maybe I can take another call or two. Let's see how many people want to call in. I'll take another call or two. There's some. Drop your super chats now if you'd like. Midnight Pizza Man with a super chat. Matt, how would you take a stunner? Ooh, it's a good question. Oh, I got a call. Let me take the call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Who's this?
Hi, this is Mariana from Minneapolis, St. Paul area.
Hey, Mariana from Minneapolis. What would you like to talk about?
Crap. Okay, it's cutting out for me.
Oh,
Can you
I
try
hear
talking
you.
again?
You're good. If you want to just if it cuts out, don't worry about it. I can hear you. Just tell me what you want to talk about, and if I need to answer it off like at the end of the call, I could do that. But I hear you great.
Okay, sorry. I'm still at my custodial job, so I don't have the best Wi-Fi.
Oh no, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was going to just say that when I was listening to the interview earlier, something really like kept nagging me, and that's how this whole Libs of TikTok thing, which I've been keeping, not actively following, but keeping an eye on for a while, really reminds me of the cringe culture of like 2015, like mid 2010s. And I remember listening to Majority Report and you being really kind of on the beat of those anti-SJWs. And to me, that just sort of laid the groundwork for this even more insidious stuff now, because back then, I know, there's a lot of making fun of people. And even the Libs of TikTok account was kind of originally making fun of people, which is horrible, especially since a lot of them were kids. But it morphed into this like, no, these people aren't just cringy, they're dangerous. And really alarming because, we saw figures like Sargon of Akkad try to make their entry into politics, like actual electoral politics, and all the intersections with, like was outlined, these actual political figures having connections to weird online accounts who compile this stuff and getting their talking points from them. It's just, I don't know. There was a lot of things where I thought a few years ago, but not past like 2018, I'm like, oh, this whole masculinity thing, I guess it's ebbing and flowing because it has been for generations now, but it's kind of dying out. I think people don't really care as much about gender as they used to. And I think that might be my youth speaking, but it was like so naive to think that, because
No, we're definitely going. There's definitely been a reversal, no doubt about it. I mentioned when I was talking with Taylor that I have spoken to people in LGBT, in like people in media who are LGBTQ and cover this stuff, and they shared that same sentiment that, again, with the trans rights issues, that was still a real fight. We were nowhere near this. Like it was completely that's separate. But when it came to like, gay and lesbian issues, we are 100% going in a reversal right now. At least in the discourse that we see online and within these certain political bubbles. Maybe, outside of it, like in more cultural settings, in terms of like pop culture and, various different culture issues, maybe we're not seeing that there, and that'd be a good thing, obviously. Hopefully it won't trickle into there. But in terms of politically, what we're seeing, 100% there's a reversal going on right now.
yeah, I mean, I don't consider myself an alarmist and think like, every bad opinion people holds indicates that they're a fascist or whatever, because a lot of people don't think that deeply about their politics. But what's worrying to me is, like you said, a lot of apolitical people can be weirdly easily swayed by these sort of things when they don't otherwise think about politics much. This is back when I was in high school and I was 16, 17, I think. By the time I graduated, I removed myself from this space, but I do remember going on like those sort of cringe subreddits and how it was like, look at this stupid person on Tumblr. A lot of these people were genuinely like stupid. I'd probably look at some of this stuff now and be like, oh, this person's so dumb. But the amount of energy people put into bringing certain individuals down should really be telling, because at a certain point I was like, wait, these people are not just like making fun of the hyperbolic statements that whatever random Tumblr user is putting off on their blog. They're like making fun of them for being trans. And I thought, like, oh, well, obviously everyone's against that. Look around and, of course, come to see that, no, those are the people getting upvotes. And it's just like the worst elements of these, I hesitate to call them movements because that implies there's more coherence to them possibly.
No,
but
there's definitely something way more nefarious about what's going on here. I think Taylor did mention the cringe accounts actually when I was speaking with her. Now that I think about it, she definitely did. And I think she even mentioned how the difference is, like, those accounts, while mean, there was no real ideology behind it. Like, maybe they were anti-SJW or like the cringe accounts specifically, not like the anti-SJW like those identities, like the shoe on heads or whatever. Just talking about like the cringe accounts. Like, obviously, maybe they were right-wingers, but there was no real like activism behind it. It was just doing it to bother people. Libs of TikTok definitely is different. It's not just, hey, look at this idiot. It is, hey, look at this person. We're going to do something about this person.
Yeah, it's also, like I said, where they choose to channel their energy. There's plenty of things that I find stupid or annoying. And to be honest, it's just like, in going after these people, even though they may irritate me, it sends out a message that I don't want to reinforce. You know, it's almost like a thing, like, if I see it being annoying, I'm not going to rag on this kid because they're a child. Like, let them do whatever. It's not my space to say that sort of stuff. And it's just like, I don't know, just, I'd say you don't have to be a scold and get angry at everyone and call them names, but do try and keep tabs on like people you follow and listen to and kind of the trends of what they cover and what they say about it, because a lot of people will kind of they'll leave it at that. They might say one or two off-key things, but generally still have good politics. And you can call those individual instances out, but I don't think it's helpful to say, well, you're a horrible person for like once making fun of a feminist, whatever.
Oh yeah,
but
I mean, there's definitely a difference between people who are just randomly saying something stupid every now and then, but then people who make their whole identity being an anti-feminist, for sure.
Yeah, it's sort of like the thing with 4chan. I talked to some of my older friends and they're like, everyone knows it's a cesspool now, but it might have been kind of edgy before, but it was not always this bad. And it's just, I guess the good people don't want to stay in such a toxic environment. And then people who do stay, it just like breeds and generates more gross, nasty, bigoted sentiment. Becomes a toxic waste dump that spills out into every other corner of the internet in real life.
Right. It's. I would say that. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely been a change over the past couple. Like you said, there's an ebb and flow too. I think you had said even that same phrase. There's an ebb and flow to it. I've noticed over the years. And with 4chan, I would say that there was a very limited small window where it was just actually for the lulz. It was very small, late 2000s, maybe very early 2010s, but then it very quickly, I think, became very political. And then in 2015 with Trump, it became full on right wing. Like it went from maybe just for the lulz for a little bit to straight up anti SJW to full on, full blown right wing fascist bullshit.
Yeah.
There's definitely
I'll
no
jump
one.
off.
There's definitely no one there anymore. At least on the the political forum that is doing
Yeah.
it to be edgy. They're there because they are, full far right wingers.
Yeah, it's kind of disturbing. I don't know how much farther it'll go. I'm not a total fatalist or defeatist or whatever when it comes to these things, but if you would have told me a few years ago that gay rights would have been pushed back this far on and we were trying to get gay teachers fired, I would have told you you're crazy, to be honest.
Here's the crazy thing, man. Like, all the time when I was young, like teachers weren't like telling us about their personal lives, but like it would come up. Like you spend 8 hours a day at the very least. That's like a normal school day, not counting maybe, early morning classes you have before the school day begins, afternoon extracurriculars and stuff. You spend at least 8 hours at school. These people become a major part of your life. And just because of how life is, you just learn things about people through just everyday things. And I knew stuff about teachers, and sometimes they would share things publicly when it would come up and be appropriate. And that's just what's happening here. The only difference is, and I had teachers who were gay, and it was never an issue, never any problem. I did go to a Catholic high school, and it came out that one of the religion teachers later came out as trans well after I left, after I graduated, and they treated her horribly, by the way. Like, and this was before any of this shit. This was like probably mid 2010s, maybe a little bit earlier. I'm pretty sure they fired her. It was, but like people definitely knew, like from like how he wasn't when he was identifying as a male, people knew that he definitely wasn't cis. Like that was a long rumored thing. Like it's unfortunate that she didn't get to come out and be who she was for the vast majority of her life. She actually ended up suing the school and then died before the lawsuit. Anything happened with the lawsuit for wrongful termination. But we knew things about teachers' lives. In 7th grade, I remember we were invited to our straight teacher's wedding. The entire class, the entire 7th grade class went to our straight teacher's wedding. And nothing was thought about it. We took a big school group photo with our teacher and her new husband outside the church. I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere. No one thought a thing about it. It was cool. It was cute. It was, oh, look, what a beautiful community. That's what a tight-knit school community does. It was no big deal.
Yeah. So I was just gonna, I don't really have a ton more to add.
No,
I feel
like appreciate you. No, I appreciate you bringing up these points and, what you said, and then, made me think of some things to talk about too. I really appreciate the call. Have a great night. I was just
gonna say.
Oh, go ahead.
One more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is people should not forget that it's not just LGBTQ issues, but issues of women's liberation and feminism are also really tied up on this gender and sexuality stuff, because with the reinforcement of like the masculinity movement, like we see Tucker Carlson talking all that weirdo stuff, it's not even just reproductive rights. I've seen a lot of pushback on the concept of feminism, and that I'd go off for half an hour on that, but I'm not going to subject people to that. But
You could call
make
in.
sure,
You call it next time. We'll have that conversation.
yeah, for real, because that's something that's been bothering me a lot. So maybe I'll try to write up a script or something.
All right, sounds good. Have a great night.
Have a good night.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye. Let's. What time is it? All right. If I'll keep the phone line open if one or two more people want to call in. But I think we're Midnight Pizza with the super chat question. Matt, how would you take a stunner? Hold on, I got another call. Hey, which name are you calling from?
Hey, it is Kowalski.
Hey, Kowalski, what would you like to talk about?
Was gonna kind of do a curveball real quick just to see what you city folks see in your news. So, what have you been hearing about the food and fertilizer situation globally?
I want to tell you right now, I don't watch local news at all. But I will also tell you that nothing. I rarely ever think about the food or and how it's grown or anything like that. It's never been an issue that's come up here. I don't see it in our local news. I mean, it's obviously something that might get covered in the Times, the newspaper, when it hits the shelves or whatever, but not much. Rarely comes across the topic of conversation. No one on the subway is talking about the fertilizer situation.
Well, I would think by the general election this year, that'll probably be one of the top stories on the international news, just broadly.
Are you getting me some insider information here? What's the scoop here? What's going on?
Well, for those of us in the know, there has been kind of a looming catastrophe with there being an international fertilizer shortage. There's just a lot of fertilizer not where it needs to go. And in a lot of countries, there isn't going to be the same like production this year because of that.
Can we just like shovel more food in a bunch of like literal pigs' mouth? Like what's the holdup here?
We're running out of food.
Really?
There isn't a significant grain surplus right now.
Is that something to do with Russia, or that's only part of it?
It has a lot to do with, it's part of it. So Ukraine is the 5th largest wheat exporter in the world. Russia is the 1st largest wheat exporter in the world. And they predominantly export wheat to the Middle East and Asia. Europe can kind of feed itself, just about. North America, South America feeds itself, and then half of Asia. So if there's any disruption to fertilizer, that will hurt your yield. So instead of an acre being able to produce, say, 200 bushels of corn, it'll produce 150. But the following year, if you don't put any fertilizer on, it'll hurt even more and maybe produce like 125. The United States is sitting okay. It's just fertilizer is really expensive. But in places like Brazil, they haven't been able to get their imports because we can outbid them. We have the money to do it. So Brazil has marginal ground. It wasn't as good as ours to begin with, and they're not going to get their plant food. So countries like in the Middle East or South Asia, like China, who are dependent on food imports and imports of fertilizer, are going to be in a lot of pain. Some of the people I follow think that it is possible, if we have an abnormally bad year like the last couple due to climatic issues, we could be looking at food insecurity for nearly 2 billion people worldwide. Most of that will be in South Asia, and a lot of it will be in the Middle East.
Has this been covered anywhere, or are you basically just saying this from your experience?
It has been covered a little bit in like ag circles, but it doesn't seem to be getting the big news that I think it should. It's something people need to keep an eye out on.
Would you want to message me and we'll work on something on this?
I could. I'm going to be very busy for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
We're in the middle of planting, this is just like a coincidental thing. Plus, once planting's over, we'll have a better assessment of where things will go because, like, the Midwest, which is the most important part of this right now, because if we screw up, it's gonna be bad. North America is fine. So North America, Western Europe, Oceania, even South America, if they have a total disaster, they'll still be able to feed themselves. The problem is all the countries that rely on the imports, which is mostly the Middle East, a little bit in Africa, and a lot in Southeast Asia. So,
all right, this sounds
yeah,
very. If you want to write something up, I would love to dive into it and do something.
I actually have been thinking of writing something big on this because, like, there's also the climate aspect that's bleeding into this. There have been persistent droughts. There have been freak cold snaps. There is a lot of rain in places that usually doesn't get rain this time of year. And there is a rampant drought all the way from basically the fall line of the Rocky foothills to the West Coast, which is insane. So, like, there's a lot of stuff right now that it's a lot of things that are all happening at once. One of these events occurring, probably handled. All of them simultaneously, unprecedented. And
you're blowing my mind right now. Because even I'll tell you this: you're definitely not only telling me new information, you're presenting it in a very easily understandable way for someone who knows nothing about agriculture. And you should definitely write something. And I would love to, do a video on it or something. I think it's very important. And
I'll
you know what you're talking
get
about.
something together, especially towards the middle of May. We'll have a much better understanding where we're at because we'll understand what the situation is in Russia, because there's still a chance Russia will be fine on their production, and whether or not that conflict, so right now, one big thing, winter wheat. Winter wheat gets planted in the fall, so you harvest that come June and July. If the war there ends tomorrow, that could still get harvested, prevent a lot of this from happening. But if this war continues, Ukraine's completely out of the picture, and Ukraine is just a massive exporter to the rest of the world. So that'll be a huge part of this. That and seeing where we come out. But
very interesting.
For the most part, our weather looks like it should be okay. But yeah, I just was curious if any of this type of news is in your guys' neck of the woods at all, or if it even pops up on your radar.
I will say it's not abnormal for this. Not this does seem like it's a very generally niche thing, or it doesn't hit the news here, perhaps maybe on the coasts. I don't know about local media outlets, in the Midwest or throughout the country. But I don't think this is normally something that would be covered anyway here until I guess the shit hit the fan, like you're saying could possibly happen. Then obviously
I think it has to do with the energy thing. That is just broadly hitting people too hard right now, that it's probably creating too much. Energy is tied closely to the fertilizer, so if energy goes through the roof, fertilizer goes through the roof.
Oh, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that's the issue then, because I don't know if you've been watching, but on Scam Economy, we've been talking about how Bitcoin solves this.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, that's.
Just throw.
It is
throw
kind of amazing.
I will say, I've been obviously since I've been on the crypto beat, but since Scam Economy, it's been full on focus on Scam Economy. And then this stuff with Libs of TikTok happened this week, and I was for the first week, I took a break from thinking about crypto 24/7. It was actually a nice little vacation from crypto brain. But back on it tomorrow. Scam Economy will be on tomorrow, everybody.
Well,
you make an appearance, by the way. You make an appearance, by the way, in tomorrow's episode, because I'm finally getting around to unleashing the dating episode, the dating app episode.
Oh, that'll be funny. But yeah, just thought I would help, make Doom live up to its name. So.
Oh, it absolutely does, and you're absolutely right. It needs to definitely write something, no matter what. And
okay.
And if you can't find anywhere to publish it, or if I can't, I'd love to help you. And if not, hell, I'd love to publish it somewhere. I would. I think this is a really good piece you're just even telling me about. I think this information is crucial. If you feel like it's better to wait, for May to see what's gonna happen? Maybe, but maybe it's better to
Probably wait till May just so I don't sound like an alarmist. But
all right.
I do just want to point out this is one of those things that like climate scientists have been mentioning a lot. Climate change is not going to be a Roland Emmerich movie where it's one big event. It's going to be these little things, just a death by 1,000 cuts sort of thing. So
It's
you
not gonna
know,
be like that
a
movie
flood
2012.
here, a drought there. Yeah, no, it ain't gonna be like that at all. Would be fun, but yeah.
Fun.
So.
I don't know about that. To me, fun would be a zombie outbreak. That's what I would like. That's my doomsday scenario. That'd be fun.
Unless they can absorb data like none other and can run, a zombie outbreak would probably be solved in a day.
The running zombies would pose a problem, yes. But if we get the traditional Night of the Living Dead zombies, I think it'd be fun.
Oh yeah, that would be like fish in a barrel.
Oh, you know me. I'd be here's the scenario. It would happen. I would realize it happens. I would go, holy shit, it's happening. I'd be all excited. I'd step outside. The second the door opens, I would open the door. A zombie would be there to bite my hand, and there goes my zombie apocalypse experience. Done in a few hours.
Actually, you know what? Maybe I'm underselling the zombie apocalypse a little bit. If the last 2 years taught us anything, there's going to be a large swath of the country, probably a third of the country, who's the most heavily armed, but out there actively getting bitten just to prove to everybody it's a fake virus. So that'll be wonderful.
That could be fun to watch. You could literally, if that's the case, just wait it out in your apartment, let these people all get bit and everything, and then everyone could just escape and start a whole new world. There you go.
Hope springs eternal.
Yep, that's how we solve the problem in this country between just the bickering and butting of heads on both sides. Zombie apocalypse that takes out the right. That's pretty much, there you go. Have a great night,
all right,
Kowalski.
man. I'll let you go.
Remember when I said I'm a realist? I don't talk big picture scenarios. All right. It's late, but I saw there's a few people on the phone. Should I do it? All right. I'm going to keep the phone line open for just one more call. Whoever calls in gets it. One more call. This is your chance. Whoever calls in and gets the final call. As to how I would take that stunner, Midnight Pizza Man, I thought Austin Theory did a good stunner, took a good stunner. Scott Hall took a great stunner. I like the bounce and floating in the air. That's a good one. I think that really sells it. I also thought, what's his face? McCarthy, whatever his name is. I thought he sold it pretty good with the spewing of the beer. I thought that was good. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, it's me. Sorry, I have to mute you in the other tab.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hey, me? Or would you like to give me your name and where you're from?
It is Ken from Charleston. How's it going?
Hey, Ken, it's going good. What would you like to talk about?
I also want to talk about climate change a little bit. Not about fertilizer. But yeah, I just wanted to bring up I basically just want to plug my YouTube channel.
Go ahead.
Shamelessly.
Go ahead.
So I started a new channel. It's called Mycopath, MYCOPATH. So the channel half in-depth videos about climate change science and half heavy metal music about climate change, because climate change is best expressed through extreme heavy metal music, the emotions that you feel about it.
Damn, is that you playing a 12-string guitar?
I do. I have a 12-string guitar.
Damn, I played bass, 4 strings, because six strings. Well, I assume that if you're playing a 12-string guitar, you could easily handle the bass. But yeah, I played bass because 6 strings on a guitar was too much for me. So to see you with that behemoth of a guitar with 12 strings, that's good on you, man. That looks like quite the beast right there.
Thanks. Yeah, it's fun. I got that like last year, and I've been practicing. I've gotten pretty good at it. I was always into like the two-handed tapping stuff on bass, so I was able to switch and adapt my skills pretty easily to that crazy guitar.
What's folk metal?
But yeah,
What's folk metal?
folk metal is like a combination of like different types of folk music. I think it originated in like Scandinavia, so it's a lot of like Scandinavian folk music made into metal.
It's not like
you're incorporating things like violins, accordions, the hurdy-gurdy, like different folk instruments, but you also have your like overdriven guitars, bass drums. There's folk metal bands now from all over the world. Like there's ones in Mongolia, Japan, Native American. Folk metal is cool stuff. We're not a folk metal band. We're kind of just like a general heavy metal band. I don't know. I don't know what subgenre we would fall into.
I was gonna ask if it was like folk punk, but then you said the accordion and stuff like that. It seems like it maybe is like the metal version of that. Maybe, you know, folk punk sort of usually acoustic. There's violin sometimes, banjo, sort of like a old southern folky style punk music. You know, like folk, like Woody Guthrie and Johnny Cash, not folk whatever it is nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. There's one like American folk metal band that's pretty big called Panopticon, which is kind of like bluegrass mixed with heavy metal.
I gotta check them out. What are they called?
Panopticon. Panopticon.
Panopticon. I'll have to check them out. That's actually a word, so I have to put Panopticon band. I'm getting American black metal bands. Is that them?
Yes.
Okay. From Kentucky?
I think he's a left-wing guy.
I will say, you know, I guess maybe with metal it could be, it could go either way.
Yes, black metal's full of Nazis, for sure.
But, you know, with punk, obviously there's, you know, Nazi punks, but we tell them to fuck off, as the Dead Kennedys say.
Yes. Yeah, the most well-known black metal guy was Varg Vikernes or Burzum, who's like just a big meme on Twitter.
I'll have to check them out. It looks good. I'm gonna check them out after the show's over. Oh, was there anything else you wanted to say?
Oh, I'm surprised you don't know Varg Vikernes. Julian perspective.
Varg Vikernes?
Yeah, he has like, I feel like he's almost better known as a shit poster on Twitter than a musician. Lots of bad takes.
You're talking about the okay, I think I know who you're talking about. Varg Vikernes, right? Okay, yes, I know who you're talking about. Didn't he kill people?
No. Yes, he is a murderer.
Yes, okay, that is the guy I'm thinking of.
But he's from Norway. He did his time, and and he's reformed now.
Oh, that's good.
But anyway, I recently made a video that's been doing pretty well about the YouTube channel Kurzgesagt, which I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're a really big science education YouTube channel. They have like close to 1 million subscribers, and they have these like really cutesy, nifty animated videos that, and for the most part, their videos are good. They talk about dinosaur aliens, like all sorts of science topics, but really they're kind of best known for their climate change videos. And for the most part, the climate change videos are good, but they recently released one arguing that we are going to fix climate change because Western governments have put in these like new climate regulations that have changed the projected rise in global temperature from like a 4 to 8 degrees by 2100 to like 3 degrees by 2100. And he's saying that this is a sign that we're really headed on the right track. And so I basically made a video debunking that argument, or at least providing a different side of the argument, and basically saying that just because these regulations have been put in place doesn't mean that they can't be taken away. And in fact, it's actually pretty likely that a lot of them will be taken away, at least in the United States, with the Republican chances in 2022 and 2024. And I'll go into depth about that And I'm planning a whole lot more videos in the future. Like right now, I'm working on one about plastic, because I won't reveal too much about the plastic video. And yeah, I have one I'm working on about forest fires. I have one I'm on about GMOs and pesticides, which I've actually come on your talk about before.
Right, I remember. I think I remember that one. Right.
Yeah, so I have a lot of videos planned, and the best part is that there is a heavy metal song which goes with most of the videos.
Ooh.
So yeah,
Right, everyone,
I hope
check out
you guys will check it out. And
Mycopath on YouTube.
I appreciate you having me on, and I'll let you go. We all need to go to bed.
Yes, I'm gonna. This is the last call. In fact, one of my AirPods just died, so I'm listening to you in just one ear right now. I think that's when my AirPods that were charged to 100% have now died. I think that's a good indicator that maybe it's time to call it a night.
Yeah, you were really popular today. I was trying to get in for like 2 hours or something, and yeah,
there was
I finally did.
There was a bunch of callers, bunch of new callers, which I love. And still not gonna get to everybody. There was a few more people left that were trying to call in. I urge them to please call in tomorrow, even though it's the crypto show tomorrow. We could talk about anything. Let's not be crypto. And if not tomorrow, call in next week on Doomed, which is usually on Tuesdays, but I had to move things around because I was gonna make Taylor Lorenz on the show work, whether whether it was Tuesday or Wednesday, it was gonna happen.
Mycopath is taking the no crypto pledge, no NFTs, unless you want to give me money in crypto, which that's great, but we will never be minting any of our songs as NFTs.
There we go. I'd love to hear it. I love to hear
cool.
No NFT action. Love it. Have a great night. All right, folks. That is the show. There was one more super chat. Don't forget to get your Twitch Prime subscriptions in, twitch.tv/MattBinder. If you have Amazon Prime, it is the easiest way to literally give me money without you spending any additional money. A lot of us have Amazon Prime subscriptions. It's very convenient. I know all the issues with Amazon, but there are many good reasons to just get that next day delivery that Amazon Prime provides. So I know a lot of you got it. If you're not already subscribed to another streamer, consider giving me free money from Bezos. Bezos bucks. Zachamania with a $5 super chat. Nice get. Great interview tonight, Maddie boy. Thank you, Zach. Patreon.com/MattBinder. Folks, please, if you don't already support this show and you can financially do so, I would appreciate it. If I can grow this show, I could do more streams, more content, more work that you guys can enjoy and learn from and take in and share and all that fun stuff. I'd really like to bring people on board to help me create more content. Can't do it where we are right now. We're getting close. Not quite there. Would love to make it happen. Patreon.com/MattBinder if you could afford to do so. Twitch.tv/MattBinder if you have Amazon Prime. Subscribe to YouTube.com/MattBinder. Doomedcast.com for the podcast. ScamEconomy.com for the crypto show. Scam Economy. That's tomorrow. Scam Economy. At MattBinder on Twitter. Leave your Apple Podcast and Spotify reviews if you can. And I will see you all next time on Doomed.